Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into a time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
A Criminal Wednesday with these episodes of yours truly, Johnny Dollars, Suspense, Jeff Regan Investigator, Macabre, and Lum and Abner. That's all straight ahead on this Wednesday, 13th day of November. Yes, Friday the 13th comes on a Wednesday this month. It's the 318th day of the year, rather, and we have 48 days left till we get to 2025. Collier's Magazine on this date in 1909 accused Secretary of the Interior Richard Ballinger of questionable dealings in Alaskan oil fields. In 1956, the Supreme Court declared the Alabama and Montgomery laws requiring segregated buses illegal, and that ended the Montgomery bus boycott. In 1960, Sammy Davis Jr. married Swedish actress Mae Brent, interracial marriage still illegal in 31 of the 50 states. How far have we come? The American space probe Mariner 9 became the first spacecraft to orbit another planet, swinging its planned trajectory around Mars without a hitch. Nuclear activist Karen Silkwood killed on this date in 1974 in a car crash while she traveled to an interview with New York Times reporter David Burnham. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his family in Amityville, New York. The Amityville Horror. A boxing match held in Las Vegas on this date in 1982 ended when Ray Mancini defeated Kim Duk-koo.
I was on top of the world. I was just 21 years old. I had reached my peak as a fighter. I was riding a wave. When they told me that I was going to fight the Pan-Pacific Asian champion, Duk-koo Kim, I knew it would be an action fight, but I felt my strength would overcome and my ability would be able to defeat him. So at the beginning of the 14th round, I ran across the ring and I noticed that he was coming off his stool slow. So right away I jumped on him. With the right hand, I hit him, left hook, right, and then a straight right hand, caught him right on the chin and dropped him. When you see a guy go down, you feel like Hercules. You feel like a shark smelling blood. At the count of 9, he held onto the rope and pulled himself up. But then he staggered back, and the referee, Richard Green, stopped it. I never knew that he got carried off by a stretcher. I never knew that until I saw it on TV. Immediately after the fight, we were in my hotel room. My trainer, Murphy Griffith, came up. He said, "Ray, it don't look good." I said, "What time?" I said, "This boy Kim, it don't look good." And he said, "You better prepare yourself for the worst."
Ray Mancini. Kim's death 5 days later led to significant changes in boxing. In 1985, Javier Suarez sworn in as Miami's first Cuban-born mayor. In 1991, Beauty and the Beast released in theaters in the U.S. In 1994, voters in Sweden decided to join the European Union in a referendum. And the musical Lion King opened on Broadway on this date in 1997. From the musical The Lion King, which opened on this date in 1997. In 1998, President Clinton agreed to pay Paula Jones $850,000 to settle a sexual harassment lawsuit. In 2001, in the first such act since World War II, President George W. Bush signed an executive order allowing military tribunals against any foreigners suspected of having connections to terrorist acts or planned attacks on the U.S. Also on this date in 2001, Afghanistan's ruling Taliban abandoned the capital, Kabul, without a fight, allowing U.S.-backed Northern Alliance fighters to take over the city. In 2003, Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore thrown off the bench by a judicial ethics panel after refusing to remove a granite Ten Commandments monument from the state courthouse. They always said it was the main reason that they did that was, because of the separation of church and state. Rather, it was something that made lawyers uncomfortable, for a lot of reasons. In 2009, Attorney General Eric Holder announced plans to try professed 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 others in civilian court in New York City. The Obama administration later backed off the plan. Hawaii legalized same-sex marriage on this date in 2013, and on that same day, 2013, World Trade Center officially opened. In 2015, Islamic State operatives carried out a series of coordinated terrorist attacks in Paris, including suicide bombings, mass shootings, and a hostage crisis. This woman was eating dinner when the attacks began.
We immediately dropped to the floor as we continued to hear numerous gunshots. The woman next to me had a fatal injury.
The terrorists killed 130 people, making it the deadliest attack in France since the Second World War. Among those passing away on this date in history, Italian film director Vittorio De Sica, also Junior Samples from Hee Haw, Mexican-born pro wrestler Eddie Guerrero, and singer-songwriter Leon Russell. This is the birth date of one of the great voices and the great actors, Alexander Scourby.
The first book of Moses, called Genesis. Chapter 1. In the beginning God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day.
Probably one of the greatest recordings of the Bible ever heard, Alexander Scourby, born on this date in history. By the way, if you want that, the full King James Version of the Bible is recorded by Alexander Scourby. It is available at Scourby.com. That's SCOURBY.com. I mention that because there are so many of these things that are out there. And this one would just be great for your collection, particularly if you are a Christian or you like stuff like this. Also born on this date in history, actor Jack Elam, the guy with the crazy eyes. Funny man, and a good actor as well. Game show host Jack Nars, born on this date. The leader of the Westboro Baptist Church, Fred Phelps, born on this date, as was actor Richard Mulligan. Gary Marshall, the producer, director, writer, and the man who sang about Why Can't We Live Together, Timmy Thomas, born on this date in history.
Hi, this is Jeff Foxworthy. It is now time for the birthday announcements. The following people are now officially older than dirt.
From Criminal Minds, Joe Mantegna is 77 today.
Francis Goring abducted 3 women. We're looking for a 4th.
Joe Mantegna, 77 today. Whoopi Goldberg is 69.
I was thinking more like Vegas, get some butts in the seats.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg, 69. From Scrubs in the Middle, Neil Flynn is 64. Comedian Jimmy Kimmel, 57 today. And from High School Musical, Monique Coleman is 44. Those are just a few of the people who celebrate the 13th day of November as their birthday. If this is your birthday,
happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
And we'll start our deep dive into Sunday, November 13th, 1960, with an episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey and the Bad One Matter. That's up next.
Because millions in Europe and Asia still have need for clothing and food relief, and because nonprofit CARE still sends more food and clothing per dollar spent, continue to give the Careway for the relief of misery in foreign lands. Send your name and the name of the person you're helping with complete address to Care, New York. Enclose $10 or $6.95 for the new budget parcel. Care, New York.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now on this Wednesday, going back to Sunday, November 13th, 1960, 64 years ago, Bob Bailey, as yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Johnny Dollar.
Pat McCracken, Johnny, Universal Adjustment Bureau.
Well, good for you, Pat. Just keep it up.
Now, what's that mean?
2 assignments in 1 week? Fine.
Oh, 1 week and 1 day.
So I still like it. What goes this time?
Johnny, how old are you?
Just exactly 30... Huh? Why?
Still young enough to remember how you felt and acted when you were a young punk, huh?
Sure.
But I hope you were a better sort than the one we have to deal with in this matter. And yet, on the other hand, well, you know the saying, it takes a crook to catch a crook.
Huh?
So maybe we'd be better off if you'd been an A-1 delinquent when you were a pup.
Do you mind telling me what you're yammering about?
But I suppose you were a good boy.
Well, I was no mama's boy, if that's what you mean.
Oh, I mean no real trouble with the law. No stretch in a reform school, no hoodlum gang, no good contacts, experience, that sort of thing.
Pat.
No, I guess not. It's kind of too bad, though.
You mean if I had a nice black record, I'd be just right for this whatever you have in mind.
And yet, on the other hand,
Oh,
Johnny...
come on, Pat. Start making sense, will you? Well?
Yes.
All right.
All right. Culpepper Walker, Mono Guarantee Insurance Company. Do you know him?
In their office in Little Rock, yeah.
Good. Fly on out and see him, will you, Johnny?
Because of some trouble with some kid?
That's right.
Okay.
Just a kid, Johnny. But if what Walker says about him is true, if you expect to get anywhere with this boy...
Yeah?
You'd better take along a pair of brass knuckles, a length of chain, maybe a switchblade knife.
Oh, that kind, huh?
That kind. A real bad one.
CBS Radio brings you Bob Bailey in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Mono Guarantee Insurance Company, Little Rock office. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the Bad One matter. Expense account item 1, $2 for a cab to Bradley Field. Item 2, $81.10 airfare to New York to Little Rock, Arkansas. The plane had left New York at 6 p.m. At 8:50 Central Time, we set down at Little Rock Municipal Airport. There have been a lot of changes since the year 1772 when a guy named Bernard de la Harpe stopped here and tagged the place after an outcropping of rock on the south bank of the Arkansas River. Yeah, it's an interesting town with its modern air-conditioned buildings of chrome and glass, its busy streets and busy people. And at the same time, its beautiful residential section, fine homes, plenty of trees and gardens and hedges and lawns that stay a lush green from the year. Not far away are well-cultivated farms and dense forests. And along the river, lots of rich bottomland, much of it loaded with cotton. Any kind of crime just doesn't seem right in this area. As soon as I got settled, I called Culpepper Walker, made a date with him, and then early the next morning met him at his office where he got down to business.
No, Dollar, not right here in town, but in one of the outlying precincts, I guess you call it. Section they call Milltown.
Oh, I see.
And his name is Pete McGuire. Works in a cotton mill. He's 18, 19 years old. And he's the only one knows who killed Mr. Brierly.
Brierly?
And W. Brierly, client of ours. Insured for near $50,000. And his business partners in the mill are also clients. Very important ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, what happened?
Monday night of last week, Mr. Brierly was driving along with the payroll for the cotton mill, like I said, over in Milltown. That's east of here.
Yeah?
Somebody ran his car off the road, bashed in his head, and took the payroll, some $17,000 in cash.
He was carrying all that money around alone at night?
Well, he'd taken it out of the bank here in town just before the bank closed. He started out for the mill. But he'd had some trouble with his car, with one of the front wheels, and he had to stop and have it fixed. By the time he got on the road again, it was nearly dark.
Well, tell me, you sure he didn't just swerve off the road by himself?
No, he was shoved off by another car. Tire marks, the skid marks, showed just how it happened. Chief Andy Fisher of the Milltown Police Department. Check that out.
I see. Well, could the police identify the killer's car by those tire marks?
No, sir. And that's where the McGuire boy comes in.
How do you mean?
I mean, he was caught running away from the scene. Not more than, well, couldn't have been more than 1 or 2 minutes after it happened.
Caught by whom?
Well, police car. Chief himself was in it. Just checking the beat out there. He chased the kid down and brought him in for questioning.
Well?
Nothing.
Nothing? What do you mean, nothing?
All they could get out of that tough young punk was absolutely nothing.
Well, then, what am I supposed to do if the police haven't been able to get anything out of him?
Well, you could try, can't you?
But it's a matter for the police.
If it wasn't for Mr. Briley's partners.
Now, what do they got to do with it?
Their insurance. Insurance on the cotton mill. Thousands of dollars in premiums every year.
So?
Well, I can't afford to lose $1.
Well, so why
and
should
they're the ones, his partners, who insisted that I get you out here to investigate.
Oh.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dollar? Johnny?
Okay, Culpepper, I'll see what I can do. Item 3, $50 deposit on a rental car, and I drove over to Milltown, to the one-room police headquarters in the city hall.
Yes, sir, Miss Johnny. I was right there at the scene of the murder in my prowl car, right after it happened.
Oh? How come, Chief?
Man at the bank had told me about Mr. Briley's car trouble. It was getting dark, light rain falling, and Mr. Briley toting all that money. Well, I thought I'd better make sure he'd gotten to the mill all right, so I started out that way. But what happens?
All right, what happens?
I got there to Spring Road crossing, and there's his car in the ditch, and another car tearing away up the road.
Oh?
And this young Pete McGuire trying to get his motorcycle started and get away from there. Kind of seen me arriving on the scene. So when I found Mr. Briley's dying there in his car, I grabbed the kid. Yeah, if only I'd have had sense enough to follow up that other car.
Now, you're sure this Pete McGuire didn't do it?
Well, of course he said he didn't. And that was before he clammed up like now when he won't say anything. And he also asked me, didn't I see that other car that left a couple of minutes before I arrived?
Well, Chief, that doesn't prove...
And there was another thing, Miss Johnny. You could still see by the tracks how that other car had shoved old Mr. Briley's car off the road. Doc Hamper come along about that time.
Could you read those tire marks?
No, sir. But Doc and I could still read the tracks from that Pete McGuire cycle.
Uh-huh.
So he come along after the other car left.
All right, I see.
But he must have seen who was in that other car, so he knows who did it.
Oh, well, now wait.
I'm sure of it, Miss Johnny, because of what Mr. Briley said.
What he said? When?
Well, laying there in his car, dying, thinking the Doc was Pete standing there. And he kept saying over and over.
And Peter, you saw it. You tell him, boy. You tell him did it. You saw it, boys. You tell him. You tell him.
Yes, sir, Miss Johnny. Over and over again, he said it. And then he died.
I see.
So he knew that Pete McGuire saw who killed him and robbed him.
Well, maybe.
Of course he did. That no good kid.
Why is he no good, Chief?
Why? Well, how should I know why, Mr. Johnny, except that he wouldn't go to school, he was a town bum, his ma never knowed where he was at. The most work he ever done was pushing a pool cue.
Oh, well, now most kids...
That boy has been a troublemaker all of his life. 10, 15 times I tried to get him to send him to reform school.
Hey, you really don't like him, do you?
Nothing but trouble out of him.
And I take it he doesn't exactly go for you.
Huh?
Maybe a cop hater even, huh?
Yes, sir. That's right. A cop hater. Just like his old man was. Like his old man taught him before I had to kill him one night in a robbery.
Pete's old man?
They ought to send this cheap punk up to the pen. But first I got to find out who killed Mr. Briley.
Of course you're holding him, Chief.
On what?
Material witness, withholding evidence. There must be some way.
Oh, with him claiming he's blacked out and don't remember anything? So that Percy Van Ashworthy Tetweiler upstairs...
Percy Van who? What?
The public defender. Got the judge to release Pete McGuire on his own recognizing or whatever it is.
Recognizance.
Yes, sir. So McGuire's out and free as a bird. But if he tries to run up before I can get him up before the jury...
Oh, Chief, lots of
But
kids.
don't you worry, Mr. Johnny. Everybody on that jury are my friends. So they'll lock him up, all right.
Yeah, I see. Be a kind of revenge, huh? Because he won't cooperate with you.
Now, look, Mr. Dollar.
Or maybe just because he's a cop hater. Where'll I find this Percy Van, this public defender?
Upstairs in his office. But do you think he could get anything out of that kid?
Well, now, as the kid's defender, do you think he'll tell you if he did?
But if he did, and you find out, you got to tell me.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Mr. Johnny, I am not going out of here with a punk kid making me look like a fool. All these years working to keep order here in Middletown, having to retire a few months from now. Yeah, and going out no richer than when I was walking a beat. So maybe I'll have to live with some of my relatives somewhere out west. But you think I'm going to leave with this kid making a fool out of me?
I'll see you later.
To paraphrase Gilbert and Sullivan, an announcer's lot is not a happy one. Well, not always. Want to know why? Tell you why. Take this safe driving business. Do you have any idea how many times my confreres and I have begged on bended microphone to have begged people not to kill themselves on the highways? Now, once and for all, let's get together on this. Let's understand one another. Unless you want a pack of frustrated announcers on your conscience, slow down and curb highway carnage. If you don't care about yourself, at least have a little consideration for us. And now, Act 2 of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the Bad One Matter.
Percy Van Ashworthy Tetweiler was hardly what his name might have implied.
And, call me Tet, will you, Johnny? I don't like the name Percy any more than I imagine you do.
Yeah, sure, Tet.
Now, as I was saying, in spite of the chief's feelings about him and all the trouble he had with Pete's father, well, put it this way. That poor ignorant kid has had the odds against him ever since the day he was born. His father was no good.
So I understand.
His mother was an alcoholic. And because he's always been a stupid little runt, the other kids always bullied him.
Oh?
Yes, and when they'd pull a job, none of them very serious, I'll grant you, they'd leave him behind, so that he'd be the one to get caught for their mischief and petty thieveries. He didn't dare peach on them or they'd beat him up. And the chief never let up on him. So he's hated cops, hated anything that had to do with law and order.
Which includes you.
Yes, I'm afraid so, in spite of my attempts to get close to him.
And even you haven't been able to get him to talk.
I've tried everything, Johnny, from sugar-coated kindness to the worst threats I could think of. Everything short of Chief Fisher's heavy-handed methods.
Oh? You mean the good old third degree, the rubber hose tactics and things like that?
Well, of course, the chief denies it.
Oh, sure he does.
And don't forget, I'm the one who got the judge to let him out on his own recognizance.
Why?
In the hope he'd open up to me. But to Pete, I'm still the law, just as much as Chief Fisher, Judge Thurber.
Weren't you taking a big chance on his running away?
But he hasn't.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Won't do any good to ask him. Believe me, won't do any good to ask him anything. Now, look out there, out the window. Here he comes now.
Pete McGuire?
Yes.
Okay, give me a try.
What?
Yeah, look, don't tell him who I am, what I'm here for.
Johnny, if I thought you could do any good...
Believe me, I can...
But don't you see, unless he talks, the jury, all of them friends of Chief Fisher, and if he tries to run...
now, listen, I'm no friend of yours, see? Maybe I'm a troublemaker, a con artist.
What?
Yeah, you want me out of town. You've threatened to have me locked up if I... Hey, wait, here he comes.
But, Johnny, I'm afraid I don't...
Yeah, okay, you just try and do it, see? I got a right to make a living, and unless you got some formal charge against me...
All right now, Mr. Tetweiler.
Pete, come in.
Now, listen, Tetweiler...
You, sit down, Dollar. Sit down.
Yeah, make me.
If I have to, No, Pete. Pete, do you want to talk now?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir, I sure do.
Well, if that's all you got to say to me...
No, Dollar. Stay, I'm not through with you.
That's what you think.
Well, Pete...
Public defender, huh?
That's right. And that's why I've tried to...
You're all trying to trick me is all.
What?
So you got me out of the clink, huh?
That's right.
So's now you think I don't know I'm being followed all the time? By that chief of police or one of his men all the time wherever I go? And I think I know why, sir.
But the chief promised me, Pete.
Yeah, the chief promised you. You believe that dirty cop? I tell you, Mr. Tetweiler, you get him off my tail.
Now, listen, Pete. And don't you see, if you just tell me what you know about the murder of old Mr. Brierly... Pete? Pete, please, boy. Pete, listen to me. If you're trying to protect someone by holding back...
Did I say I was? I say I really know anything?
Well, the chief says you do.
Hollywood.
Well? Oh, Pete, for the... Look, you're in trouble, boy.
I'll get out of it my own way.
No one's really proved you didn't kill him. So unless you tell me what you know...
You just keep that cop off my tail.
Hey, wait a minute, kid.
Pete, come back here.
See you later, Ted.
No, Dollar, come back here.
Ah, drop it. Hey, wait a minute, kid. Hey, Pete, your name?
What's it to you?
So you don't like the cops either, huh?
Either?
Got a tail on you, huh? You want to learn how to shake a tail from an expert?
Expert, huh?
Yeah, that's right, me.
He called you Dollar, huh? That's a good name. Sounds like money.
Oh, yeah, baby, yeah. Maybe plenty of money. And maybe I can use some help in this burg, huh?
Help in what?
Why not? Just wait. Talk here in City Hall with the cops liable to show. Hey, you got a car?
I got a cycle.
All right, good. I got a car, a good one. So tell me where to meet you, huh?
You don't care if the cops are following me, if they follow you too?
You think I couldn't shake them?
Maybe.
All right, you head for wherever you want me to meet you, see?
Now,
and
listen.
if I spot somebody following, Pete, I'll shake them so easy.
You sure of that?
Sure, I'm sure. Then I'll meet you wherever you say, huh?
Because if they find out where I'm hiding out, you sure you won't tell them?
Look, I promise. I give you my word. Well?
7 Mile Road, out beyond Spring Road at the railroad crossing.
Yeah?
You better hide your car. There are lots of trees.
Yeah.
You walk in the gully on this side of the tracks. Then you see a little tool shack on the side. I'll be there.
Okay. I don't know how soon, Pete. If we're tailed, I may have to lead him away. But I'll see you, huh? We were tailed, all right. And I could see by whom. And I wondered. To keep him from following Pete, I had to let the boy go on ahead. It was nearly an hour later then by the time I got to the tool shack. And I thought I'd lost the man who was tailing me. There was no padlock and a heavy hasp on the door of the tool shack.
So y'all come on in, Mr. Johnny.
Johnny?
That's right, Johnny Dollar, the big eye.
Oh, I see.
So they brung you here to try to make me talk, huh?
The insurance company, Pete. Not the law, not the police.
No?
No.
I know all about you, Mr. Johnny. I long admire you for a long time. I hear that you was coming here. Oh, I hear lots of things, Mr. Johnny. And I hear you coming here. I figure maybe you can...
Help you, Pete? But unless I know whatever it is you know about that murder...
Maybe I can tell you.
Come on, Pete, try.
But I couldn't tell the police. I'll tell any of them. I'll tell that defender you talking to. They don't believe me. You think they believe me over that chief, Mr. Johnny? You think they do?
Oh, Pete, you must have a pretty sour idea of justice.
And that chief, he run this town. And he like to kill me. Like he killed my old man. He don't like him. Only he killed me 'cause he'd say he'd catch me trying to run away.
Now, Pete, you listen to me.
And I don't really know who killed that Mr. Briley. But I think I know, and that's why I don't dare say what I think to that chief or to anybody.
But when you saw the car, the killer's car, heading away from the place...
But, Mr. Johnny, the only one I see is the police car when it comes from the direction of the mill. So
From the direction of the mill?
So I really don't know. But that chief say I do, and if I try and answer the questions...
Oh, wait,
they're
Pete.
trick questions, like that chief trying to make me answer when he come there and see me.
Pete, listen.
And I tell you, so they can make me try and run away. Then that chief, he can kill me, and nobody see it's wrong.
Wait a minute.
And he'd do it, too. And that's
Chetweiler.
why I gotta hide
He
away
himself
from
said
anybody.
that.
Yes, Dollar. The chief had me let him go in the hopes he'd have confidence in me. Talk to me.
The chief had let him go. Sure. Maybe it was to get an excuse to kill him if he ran. And another car? Pete saw no other car. So how would the chief know one had left the scene a couple of minutes before he got there? And there were other things.
You think I'm gonna retire with this kid making a fool out of me?
Pride of an old man who's been running the town.
Yeah, and going away no richer than when I was walking a beat.
Oh, but he'd be rich enough with that 17,000 payroll. Sure. And meantime, he knew that Pete McGuire, in his ignorance of justice and his fear, didn't dare to say what he suspected, didn't dare accuse this man he thought would kill him with impunity. Yeah, and that everyone connected with the law was against him.
They're all against me, and so I want to live, Mr. Johnny. I can't tell nobody, not even you.
Yeah. Maybe you don't need to, Pete.
And besides, I only think I know who killed Mr. Briley.
Yeah? Well, I'm sure. As sure as I... Huh? Hey, Pete, that smell.
Coal oil.
Yeah, kerosene. Hey, look. Soaking in around this door. It's locked. Somebody's jammed something into that hasp out there.
Mr. Johnny, fire! Now they're smoking this fire.
You're right.
Winds is locked in here. We'll be burned alive.
Keep talking, Pete. He forgot the hinges are inside this door.
What's it?
Keep talking while I pull the pins out of those things.
We're dying here. We're going to be cooked alive in here, Mr. Johnny.
There's one.
We're going to burn up in here,
There's the
Mr.
other.
Johnny. We're going to be cooked alive.
Now, come on, Pete. Come on.
Mr. Johnny, we're going to die.
All right, Chief.
Mr. Dollar?
Yeah, that's right.
I see his shack on fire.
Mr. Brierly.
This boy told you that. I'll kill him, too.
Oh, no, you won't, Chief.
Put away that gun. I'll kill you, too.
Oh, no.
Chief!
You miss you, Pete?
I'm all right, sir.
Oh.
So you killed old man Brierly.
Mr. Dollar.
And if this boy did know. But until you were sure he did, and you kept him too scared to talk. All right, Chief, you want to write and sign a confession?
But if my people found out I
Or
did...
shall I use this gun of yours on you?
No, please.
Okay, then. Up on your feet. Up on your feet. Yeah, pretty smart. Using that poor ignorant kid as a means to keep any suspicion away from himself. But believe me, not smart enough. Expense account total, including hotel expenses, the rental car, and the trip back to Hartford, $231.20. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Catching a cold? Well, I guess most everyone knows that the smart thing to do when you feel a cold coming on is to get plenty of rest. But there are some days when no matter how miserable you feel, you just can't stay in bed. And if tomorrow is one of those big days and your cold is complicated by constipation, well, that's when you'll appreciate X-Lax most. You see, X-Lax has the qualities doctors consider most important in a laxative. It's gentle, effective, and close to natural acting. Taken at bedtime, X-Lax won't disturb sleep. It works effectively, overnight, to help you toward your normal regularity. And X-Lax is so close to natural acting, there's no upset or discomfort. So gentle, it's even recommended for children. So, if tomorrow's a big day for you, if you have a cold and need a laxative too, take X-Lax, a laxative with the qualities a doctor would recommend. X-Lax. Now, here is our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, the double deal matter. And I give you one guess about who comes out at the short end of it. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, originates in Hollywood and is written, produced, and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in our cast were Larry Dobkin, James McCallion, Forrest Lewis, Russell Thorson, and Sam Edwards. Be sure to join us next week, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is John Wall speaking.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
64 years ago today, Sunday, November 13th, 1960, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Coming up in a moment, we'll take a look at some of the headlines from that date, and then Suspense.
Keep your guard up. That's the key slogan of the 1950 National Guard recruiting drive, and it's a slogan as timely as today's headlines. More than ever before, America stands prepared, and the National Guard must recruit approximately 220,000 men as soon as possible. By joining the National Guard, young men will have the advantage of choosing their own unit and preparing themselves for promotion by being in a job for which they are best qualified. Investigate the National Guard now. Help America to keep up its guard.
Our feature day today is Sunday, November 13th, 1960. We just heard yours truly, Johnny Dollar. We'll hear Suspense in a moment, but here's some of the headlines from that date in history. Troops loyal to South Vietnam President Nguyen Thu Thiem crushed a two-day uprising in a swift counterattack. The president promptly broadcast an appeal for calm. The radio station, one of the first objectives of the loyalist troops, also reported the capture of the insurgent military chief and two political associates. Although avowed anti-communists themselves, they opposed Thiem's harsh methods for maintaining the security of the country against red terrorism. The mauled body of a little girl who vanished somewhere between home and church, found in the underbrush of a forest reserve near Chicago, which 2 years ago yielded the bodies of two other youngsters. A grieving father identified the victim as 9-year-old Gloria Kowalski, who left home early in the morning to attend Mass at a Southwest Side church. A Texas educator said it would be a great stroke of statesmanship for President-elect John F. Kennedy to appoint Vice President Richard Nixon as Secretary of State. Dr. Robert Morris, the president of the University of Dallas, made the suggestion. Morris, defeated in the New Jersey Republican senatorial primary last April by Senator Clifford Case, was in Los Angeles to address an anti-communist school. Discoverer 17, first of a series of new military spy satellites capable of changing course if threatened, rocketed into orbit. The Air Force announced the satellite was whizzing around the Earth once every 96 minutes. A spokesman said the egg-shaped orbit was nearly perfect, taking the 2,100-pound satellite as far as 615 miles from the Earth and bringing it back to 118 miles at the closest point. President-elect Kennedy agreed to a meeting with President-elect Jânio Quadros of Brazil, a meeting destined to discuss Cuba, Castro, and communist inroads into the Western world. House Speaker Sam Rayburn went home from a hospital in Texas where he had been under treatment for a severe cold. The 78-year-old entered the hospital Thursday night, 2 days after winning election to his 28th term in Congress. With unofficial returns complete from all but 1,662 of the nation's 166,066 voting units, John F. Kennedy still leading today with 50.2% of the popular vote. The totals were Kennedy, 33,627,000, Vice President Nixon, 33,351,000, a difference of nearly 275,000 of just under 276,000 votes out of nearly 67 million. Fast action by Berlin, New Hampshire firemen, plus the booming voice of Big Bella, led to the rescue early today of 44-year-old Ernest Rick of Youngstown, Pennsylvania. He was a deer hunter lost in heavy woods near Milan, New Hampshire. After James Watson, also of Youngstown, reported Rick failed to meet him, firemen brought Big Bella, a compressed air horn with a blast that can be heard for 10 miles. About midnight, searchers heard Rick firing his gun, found him near a swamp. The horn has been responsible for rescuing some 50 lost persons, according to firemen. That's a look at the day's news stories from the newspapers of Sunday, November 13th, 1960. On your radio, Suspense. And we'll hear that up next here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the next 7 years of bigger and bigger enrollments, America's grade schools will need nearly 250,000 extra teachers, besides those to fill normal vacancies. This great need, plus the growing public interest in education and improvements in schools, make elementary school teaching a more rewarding career than ever, a career that high school and college students should certainly consider. Education holds America's future, perhaps your future.
And we'll wrap up our look at Sunday, November 13th, 1960, with an episode of Suspense from 64 years ago today, November 13th, 1960, Vivian, Smolen, and George Petrie in The Man Who Murders People.
And now, another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Are you a commuter? When you hurry onto that late train in the evening, how do you choose your seat? You try to get as far as possible from the big black cigar, or as near as possible to somebody reading your favorite periodical. Next time, look out. You may be sitting next to the man who murders people. Now, before tonight's story of suspense, let's listen to some words of wisdom from a good friend of yours and mine, the host of CBS Radio's daily House Party.
Hello, this is Art Linkletter with a few words about that crippling disease known as arthritis. What is arthritis? It's the most widespread chronic disease in the United States. Actually, more than 11 million people suffer with arthritis. Men, women, even children. 11 million. No wonder it's called our country's greatest crippler. What causes this cruel disease? Nobody knows. It's still a medical mystery. The Arthritis and Rheumatism Foundation is searching for the answers, and they need your help. Research is costly. So is treatment. This humane work can be carried out only with your support. So send a generous contribution today to your local chapter of the Arthritis and Rheumatism Foundation. Remember, it's care today and a cure tomorrow.
Train now leaving for East Clearway, Oakey, Newbury, Roseville, Milburn, all right?
Wait, please. Public conductor.
You made it. Here, step up.
Oh, I thought I'd never...
Watch it, miss. Your bundles. Look at it.
Oh, my package.
Stay right on there. I'll get them. Here's your hat box newspaper. Well, no wonder you girls stumble wearing those spike heels.
My purse. Where's my purse?
Right here. Don't worry.
Give it to me.
Hey, watch it. You'll dump the stuff again. Here now, 2 boxes. I guess that's everything.
As though I didn't have enough to worry about. Everything has to go wrong at once.
Take it easy, miss. You caught the train. That's something.
Oh, I wish I didn't have to take it.
Well, too late now. Board, over!
I wish I didn't have to take it. Horrible.
What's the matter, miss?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was speaking out loud.
Something you're reading in that paper bother you?
Yes, well, I wish I hadn't bought the paper.
Not by any chance the Roseville murders you're reading about?
Why, how did you know?
Everyone has those murders on his mind these days.
I guess I'm awfully cowardly about it.
Not at all. I know a lot of strong men who find themselves afraid of the dark since those bodies began to turn up around Roseville. It's not something to take lightly.
You don't sound very scared.
Me? No. As a matter of fact, I've always been rather interested in murder.
Interested?
Yes. Murderers are very clever people, you know. Geniuses, some of them. You can learn a lot studying these cases.
Learn? I wish someone would learn who the killer is. What's the matter with the police anyway? Why don't they catch him?
Why don't they? Because he's cleverer than they are, that's why.
But this
man is the coolest, smartest killer that's ever been known in these parts, my girl. Here, let's look at what the paper says.
Oh, no, please. I can't bear to see that picture again. Poor man he murdered last week.
Now, I studied that picture for some time myself. Found it very interesting. You know, figuring out just what kind of a man he was, what kind of trick he might fall for, just how he'd react when he knew he was going to be murdered.
Oh, please don't.
Well, you're trembling. Well, I believe you're really frightened.
What? Don't you see? I live in Roseville.
Oh. Live in Roseville, huh?
How do you think it feels to get off at that lonely station at night? Not knowing in what shadow this This creature may be standing watching me.
So you live in Roseville. Say, I'm not far from there myself. You ever pass Arthur Jenkins' antique shop on Bowley Road? That's my place.
I remember seeing it. My aunt's very interested in antiques.
You must bring her in sometime. I'll show her my personal collection.
That's very kind of you.
Glad to do it. Old weapons are my specialty. I got some pretty rare stuff. But, getting back to this murder business...
Oh, must we, Mr. Jenkins?
Tickets, have them ready, please.
Oh, where did I put that darn thing?
Tickets, please.
Here you are, conductor.
Thank you. Everything okay now, miss?
Oh, yes, thanks. I was just awfully nervous about missing the train. My aunt worries so if I'm not on the early one.
I know how it is. Well, you'll get your supper hot tonight.
Here's my ticket.
Thank you. Tickets. Have your tickets ready.
Let's see now. Where were we? Oh, yes, the paper.
Oh.
Here now. First victim, 2 months ago. Young mechanic from the Parkway filling station. Found in the reservoir, stabbed in the heart. Apparently thrown out of a car. No clues whatever.
And he was such a nice young fellow. We often talked while he was servicing my car. Then when I saw this in the papers...
Second murder. Wealthy broker left New York on a 4:45 one evening and never arrived home.
And then, just like the poor mechanic.
Body turned up 3 days later at the foot of the Mill Road embankment. Again, a knife wound in the heart, but no knife, no weapon, no clue, just a body.
Well, that's the one that horrified me so. Suppose I should have a flat tire in my car tonight when I get to the station. I'd have to phone the garage and then sit and wait in the dark shed all alone.
I can see how you feel.
Or even if I tried to drive to the garage, I'd have to go slowly. And it's right through the woods and...
And the man who murders people jumps out of the woods in front of your car? Yes, definitely something to be nervous about.
I hate to leave the house to go to work in the morning. And poor Aunt Maud. She worries all day till I get home.
Doesn't a pretty girl like you have a boyfriend to look out for?
Well, I haven't been living in Roseville very long.
You know, I've been thinking. I get off the station after Roseville, but if you like, I could get out and see you to your car and then take the bus on up.
Oh, I couldn't let you do that.
It's not much out of my way at all. Matter of fact, I often drive down that way in the evenings. It's a beautiful drive. Up the Mill Road, past the reservoir. But you're looking at me so strangely. I think I will go with you and see you to your car.
No, I don't want you to.
Well, we can talk about it later. But, get back to the murderer again. You know, I wouldn't mind being called crazy if I could baffle the police as cleverly as this fellow does.
Mr.
You
Jenkins...
take last week now. That was the third case.
Will you stop?
What? What's the matter?
Stop talking about the Roseville murders.
Oh, no.
I don't want to hear any more, I tell you. I don't want to talk about bodies being found and fiends with long knives hiding in the woods.
Come now. You mustn't let yourself get so excited. Now, this man who strikes so cruelly, don't you wonder what started him murdering? Do you suppose power was what he wanted? Power over...
Pardon me, may I sit down?
What?
Is this seat taken?
No, I turned it forward so I could put my bundles there, but I can move them.
Here, I'll just pile them on top of each other. There. Plenty of room.
Well, I think I'll go back and have a smoke.
Goodbye, Mr. Jenkins.
I'll talk to you again later.
In just a moment, we will return for the second act of Suspense.
Do you start out for a drive in a car with the faithful anxiety of a soldier going into battle? Cars have been created for our pleasure and convenience. However, carelessness has made them responsible for more human death than any planned carnage in the history of man. It's hard to know why people who have no desire to destroy themselves should be guilty of this kind of irresponsibility. Despite the many automatic features in today's automobiles, nothing has yet been invented to take the place of human intelligence in control. Whenever you take your car out, whether for an errand in the neighborhood or a long trip on the highway, remember, it takes only 1 split second of inattention on your part to make all the safety features of your car meaningless, to turn the whole comfortable, luxurious machine into a weapon as personally destructive as any H-bomb. Drive with constant caution, common sense, and courtesy. Keep your car from destroying you.
Miss, are you crying?
No, it's nothing.
Gosh, is there anything I can do? I mean, I'm sorry.
I'm the one who should apologize. It's silly of me, but I've been so nervous. And then that man...
That man? You mean that heavy-set guy who just left?
Yes, that's the one.
Well, has he been annoying you?
Oh, no. It's not that, really. It's just that... Well, I live in Roseville.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
I guess you've heard of the murders that have been going on in that area.
I'll say. Some guy's been knifing people at night and leaving the bodies around.
Yes. And the killer is still at large, and... Of course, everyone in the neighborhood is terribly frightened.
Police can't seem to get any clue at all on the case.
No. And the papers are so full of it that it's hard to put the ghastly thing out of your mind.
What about this guy who was sitting here?
Well, that's what I'm getting at. I was terribly nervous to start with, and this man sat down beside me just as we were leaving New York, and first thing you know, he started to talk to me about those murders.
He's got a charming approach.
I didn't want to talk at all, especially about that, but he couldn't stay off the subject.
Odd.
And he kept saying what a genius the murderer is, and talking about the men that were killed, and how they felt when they knew they were going to be murdered.
Oh, now, please, don't cry again. What's the matter with that guy talking to a girl like that?
And then he said he'd get out at Roseville with me and take me to my car, and I was scared and didn't want him to, and he insisted.
Insisted, did he? Wait till that guy comes back. I'll tell him a thing or two. What are you out there?
What's going on here?
You, I'll tell you what's going on.
Oh, now, please.
Look, you've annoyed this lady till she's almost hysterical, that's what.
Why, what are you talking about?
What do you think you are, forcing your conversation on a girl who's frightened and nervous and wants to be left alone?
Who says I forced myself on the girl? You must be crazy.
There's something wrong with one of us, but it's not me. Now get out of this car, do you hear me?
What do you mean ordering me around the train?
I mean business, brother.
Right, this is
and
outrageous.
the next time I see you hanging around this lady, I'll knock your block off. So get going before I really get mad.
I never heard of such a thing. The young hoodlum trying to tell a respectable man.
I don't think he'll be any more bother.
I was sure he was going to hit you.
Having a little trouble up here?
No, it's all right, conductor. Fellow was a bit annoying to the lady, but nothing serious. We straightened it out.
Well, I don't know if it's the murders or what, but this Roseville run sure is hard on the nerves lately.
Guess all your passengers are a little jittery up here.
A guy annoys girl, lady smacks another lady's kid, man breaks a window because it won't open.
Well, that's that.
All quiet?
Uh-huh. Gosh, I'm sorry to let you in for that scene, but I thought it was best to show him I meant business.
I guess you're right. But, I'm glad it's over. What a train ride.
All included on your commutation. No extra charge for the fireworks.
I'm just exhausted. You'd think I'd been doing the work.
Well, you've been under a strain. How about sitting back and relaxing? Let me fix that back for you.
Oh, thank you.
There now. Just take it easy from here in. It's been pretty nerve-wracking for you.
I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come along, Mr.
Mackenzie. Bill Mackenzie.
Mr. Mackenzie.
You know, I believe I've seen you on this train before.
Well, I'm certainly glad you saw me this time.
I'm glad, too. For more than one reason.
Well, now that it's over, I guess I was a bit silly about the whole thing. That man didn't really have such a bad face at all.
He's no monster, just tactless, that's all.
That's right. But me with my frayed nerves waving in the breeze, I'd suspect a rabbit of being the Roseville murderer if I met one on the Mill Road in the dark.
It's true the guy's probably harmless, but there's no reason why I should go on annoying you, even unintentionally.
Well, I do thank you for stopping in. By the way, my name is Kay Murray, Mr. Mackenzie. I live just outside of Roseville, the other side of the reservoir.
Glad to know you, Miss Murray. I live in Newbury myself, but look, if you're still frightened,
thank you. But I don't feel a bit frightened now. My car is quite near the tracks, and it's only a 10-minute drive home.
Sure you'll be all right. Because I could see you home, and then I could grab a bus back to Newbury if you'd like me to.
Oh, it won't be necessary, really, Mr. Mackenzie.
Call me Bill, won't you? Since we're kind of neighbors, we ought to get better acquainted.
All right. Bill?
Kay.
Yes?
I told you I've seen you on the train before.
Yes?
Well, to tell the truth, I've noticed you particularly.
That's flattering.
And since luck has brought me your acquaintance, may I take the advantage of it and suggest I'd like to see you again sometime?
Well,
How about dinner or a show some night? Or whatever you'd like to do.
I'd like to, but...
It's kind of sudden, Kay, but please say yes.
Well, you might come up to the house some evening and meet my aunt.
You mean when I have a stamp of approval, we can go on from there?
That's about it.
It suits me fine. Let's see, this is Wednesday. How about tomorrow night?
Afraid I can't make it tomorrow.
Oh, Friday, then.
Friday will be all right. About 8 o'clock.
Nobody. I've got to get off here. Now, if you're sure you don't want me to ride up with you.
Oh, no, thanks, Bill. I'm not scared anymore.
How about your address, Kay?
Oh, I'm on Ferncliff Road, number 42. It's a big white house just off the Mill Road.
I'll find it, all right. See you Friday, Kay.
Bye.
In a moment, we will return for the third act of Suspense.
Hi. Maybe you'll recall this tuneful reminder of times past. This is Dennis James with something else worth remembering. It's this. You're so right to stay regular with Kellogg's All-Bran. See, it's the normal, natural way to youthful regularity. The whole brand content of Kellogg's All-Bran supplies your system with all the bulk-forming food that you need every day. There's only one All-Bran. It's Kellogg's All-Bran. So relieve irregularity from lack of bulk, as millions do, with a bowl full of Kellogg's All-Bran each morning. ALL-BRAN. It's Kellogg's All-Bran.
Oh, darn these doors. They never do open.
Here, miss, let me do it.
Oh, scared me, conductor. Yes, will you please? I have so much to carry.
So just let me get in there.
Oh, look out, my bundles! Oh, for heaven's sake.
Oh, say, I'm sorry. That was clumsy of me. Here, let me pick them up again, huh?
Oh, dear. Oh, look out. Don't step on that bag.
I got them rolling all over. Here, wait till I catch that hat box. Here's the two packages, hat box, and pocketbook, and your newspaper.
Thank you, conductor. Here, I'm through with the paper. I'll let you enjoy the Roseville murders.
Oh, thanks, miss. Wait a minute. There you are. You got everything?
Yes, thank you. May I sit down?
Why, certainly. Go. What? Why, what do you want?
I want to apologize to you, Mr. Jenkins. I've been feeling dreadful about that young man being so hasty with you.
Young Sir Galahad, huh? If I annoy you, why don't you keep away from me?
That's just it. You don't annoy me.
Well, if I don't, you certainly let
Honestly, Mr. Jenkins, it's hard to explain just how it happened, but... Well, I was so tired and nervous and all, and... The young man got the impression that you'd been upsetting me.
A bit impetuous of him, wasn't it?
I guess it was. Actually, I know you didn't mean to upset me, and I was terribly embarrassed when he spoke to you that way.
Well, pretty embarrassing all around, I'd say.
Well, I didn't know what to do. He meant well, you see, and it all happened so fast. Anyway, I thought I'd walk back and find you to tell you how sorry I am over the whole mix-up.
Well, I don't know. I am not accustomed to being taken for a masher.
But you weren't at all. I wouldn't have been speaking to you in the first place if you hadn't looked like a respectable person.
Well, I certainly wasn't being treated like
And
one.
I would have enjoyed talking if I hadn't been so unstrung. But you know what nerves can do to a person.
Well, I knew you were jumpy about something the first time I looked at you.
My name is Kay Murray, Mr. Jenkins. Can't we shake hands and no hard feelings?
Well, all right, young lady. I guess it was all just a misunderstanding.
I didn't intend to be rude, and... Well, it's nice of you to understand.
Roseville! Say, here's your station now.
Yes, we're right on time. Oh, let's see. Have I got everything?
You have quite an armful. You know, Miss Murray, I'll repeat that offer I made before, if you like. I mean about seeing you to your car, if you want me to.
Oh, no, it really isn't necessary.
Pretty dark night, young lady.
Well, gee, I don't know. Now that it comes right down to it, I guess I would feel better if you'd walk over with me. Then I can drop you off at the bus station. If you're sure it won't make you too late.
No, I never run on a schedule. I'm often busy half the night.
Well, we'd better hurry.
Is the car far?
No, just the other side of the grove.
Watch your step. Out there. Jump. Which way?
Oh, right over here. There's a path.
All right. See that you don't stumble. You certainly don't waste much electricity in these stations.
Now, this is the bad part. In through the trees here. Well, I'm glad you came.
It's dark, all right. And quiet with the train on. Say, did you hear something?
What do you mean?
There it is again. Let's stop a minute. Hear it? There's someone following us.
I don't hear a thing. It must have been the trees.
Wait. I could have sworn... Well, maybe not. Let's go.
Oh, gee. You really had me worried for a moment. Strange what tricks mental suggestion can play.
Very strange.
Why, there probably isn't a living soul within half a mile of here.
Not at this time of night.
Now, if I'd been alone and thought I'd...
There he is! Look, between the trees!
Oh!
Stand still, both of you. He's got a gun case. Stand still.
No, it can't be.
Not a move, you hear? It's not too dark for me to shoot straight.
You!
Who is it?
It's the conductor on the Roseville train case.
Oh!
If you'll just step back on the path and put your hands over your head.
No, you'll
Don't run, Kay. He'll shoot.
You'll never get...
You've killed her.
I doubt it. I aimed too low. Here, let's see. That's what I thought. Bullet didn't even touch her. It's those heels she tripped and hit her head.
She almost got away from you.
Well, what are you waiting for? Where's the knife?
You'll see it soon enough. First, come over and give me a hand with this girl.
I won't help you. I won't move.
Hey, do I have to get disagreeable?
Why don't you kill me and get it over with?
Just a minute. Who do you think I am?
I know who you are. And one day everyone will know. Do you hear? You can't get away with it.
Hold it, mister. I happen to be riding that train as special investigator.
What?
This gal dropped her purse boarding in Grand Central and was so edgy about it, I began to wonder what was inside. I managed to spill her bundles later and get a quick look in the purse while retrieving them. Then I remembered the madman's third victim was last seen walking with a pretty girl. Well, why do you think I followed the two of you?
I don't know. What was in the purse?
You ever see one of these?
A pruning knife.
You never know what's turned a normal mind into a crazy whirlpool of hate.
Me? I would have been the fourth victim.
My purse. Where is it?
You're trading it for a pair of bracelets, sister. I never thought the man I was after would be wearing spike heels.
Suspense. You've been listening to The Man Who Murders People. Written for Suspense by Mariana Norris. In a moment, the names of our players and a word about next week's story of Suspense. Ever stop to think about this? Radio is the swiftest, most flexible news medium. In addition, as veteran CBS newsman Lowell Thomas observes,
I wonder if you are taking full advantage of something that radio can do best of all. That is, keep you informed on national and world events. The Daily Human Show. That's what I'm here for. And I hope that you will join me each evening for a fast swing around the world.
Lowell Thomas, each Monday through Friday night at this radio address. Now, here's news about CBS News. Soon, broadcasting's foremost news service brings you twice the coverage. Double the detail, double the depth. Starting Monday, November 28th, each weekday, CBS News goes double for you for a full 10 minutes every hour on the hour. The first word in speed, the last word in accuracy. CBS News goes double for you soon on CBS Radio. Heard in tonight's story were Vivian Smolen as Kay, George Petrie as Jenkins, Alan Manson as Bill, and Maurice Tarplin as the conductor. Listen again next week when we return with Night on Red Mountain by William N. Robeson. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
By the way, both of those programs were saved thanks to a gentleman who had a new hi-fi set. A fellow in near Albany, New York, recorded WROW, recorded a lot of the old radio programs from the late 50s, and in fact, part of the reason why we have episodes of Bob Bailey and yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and Suspense from the late years is because he recorded them. he kept them, and he recorded baseball games. He recorded lots of programs over the radio, and it's fortunate that we have those, thanks to a random collector who didn't even know what he was collecting, really. All right, a couple of words about the actors in this. Vivian Smolen portrayed Sunday Brinthorpe, the title character in Our Gal Sunday, and she portrayed Laurel, the daughter of the title character, in Stella Dallas. She did a lot of radio work, and primarily she recorded in her later years on Chicago Radio Theater and did a lot of voice work. She passed away in 2006. Also, the other actor, George Petrie, well, he has a similar career, did a lot of stage work, did radio work, and he was in Charlie Wilde. He played the title role in Charlie Wilde Private Detective, a show that I have no copies of, but I'll have to find now, and The Adventures of the Falcon. He was the Falcon. He played Bill Grant in Call the Police, and did a number of other shows. He was in Murder at Midnight and the syndicated Philo Vance. He was D.A. Markham in those Philo Vance shows. He was also on The Edge of Night for more than a decade. He had recurring characters in the Honeymooners shows. He was in Dallas and the 1996 sequel TV movie in the recurring role of Ewing family attorney Harv Smithfield. Did lots of TV. He died of lymphoma on his 85th birthday in Los Angeles at the age of 85. And there you have it. A little bit of story about some of the leading actors in today's episode of Suspense, which brings down the curtain on November 13th, 1960, a Sunday 64 years ago today. Coming up tomorrow here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, we're going to have another episode of Dr. Christian, the second episode of the series, the story of Steve and Charlotte Dixon. Also an episode of Gunsmoke starring Bill Conrad and Professor Lute Bone peddling a cure, a tonic that contains opium. Also an episode of the Oklahoma City-based weird story, Dark Fantasy. And we'll wrap it up with an episode of The Green Hornet from 1942, and a new Superman series. Interestingly enough, Bud Collyer has laryngitis. So one has to wonder, we didn't know Superman got laryngitis. I guess actors do, though. All right, up next, we will hear Jack Webb, Jeff Regan Investigator from 76 years ago.
Whenever you drive the car, there is always an unseen, unwelcome passenger with you. That passenger is danger. The danger of a traffic accident. Unfortunately, every person seems to have the absurd notion that he bears a charmed life, that no traffic accident can happen to him. But it can, and too often it does. So when you're behind that wheel, don't take chances. Obey all traffic rules. Drive safely for life, your life, and the lives of us.
Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox continues now with an episode of Jeff Regan Investigator starring Jack Webb before Dragnet. This goes back 76 years ago, November 13th, 1948, and the guy from Gower Gulch.
My name's Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, the Lion's Eye, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of the guy from Gower Gulch.
It's a gray building, about the color of moldy bread. It's an apartment house in the middle of Hollywood, and it figures that the guy who built it quit voting when they named the street it sits on, Taft Avenue. My place is furnished with war surplus from the Spanish-American War. Well, it's got a hat rack, and that's where I live, number 308. In back, where you get a view and some fresh air from the alley. One's about as bad as the other. But I got it fixed up kind of nice. Hot plate, coffee pot, a An autographed picture of Sally Rand that somebody left there. Only mistake I made was putting in a telephone. It spoils a lot of things.
Regan, it's the Lion. Wake up. We got a job.
Why don't you sleep at night?
Lucky for you, I got insomnia. We go broke.
Try Ovaltine. What kind of a job?
How should I know? Get your clothes on.
What are you doing, reading the want ads?
I got a note from a client.
You mean you got money?
$100 is all. Says he'll match it if we run him an errand.
Where to? Santa Ana Canyon?
He'll tell you.
You know, you got malls like a cash register. Can he write his name?
Davey Crockett. He's 50 years old.
Well, he's a little old for cowboys and Indians, isn't he?
That's his name, Davey Crockett.
Well, when's the wagon train pull out?
Regan, I don't know how I stand for you. Get over there.
Get where?
Listen, a guy works pretty hard. Building up a business like I have takes a lot out of him.
You got plenty on tap.
I just want you to understand, that's all. Money doesn't grow on trees. Now, sometimes you gotta play your hunches.
Like George Gallup.
This time I got a feeling the guy's okay. He writes like a gentleman, Regan. I want you to treat him like one.
But where do I find him?
He's in a location can give us a lot of business.
Where?
The city jail.
Yeah, that's the Lion. Born under the sign of the dollar. Well, it happened on Monday night, and I found the Lincoln Heights jail looking real tired after a rough weekend. They were putting fresh creosote on the walls in front of the drunk tank, and the guy at the desk looked like he burst his radiator if anybody phoned for another reservation. It was about 1 a.m., but after a couple of jokes I know about alligators, Sergeant Gonzalez hauled out a drawer with some cards in it. Under C, he found it. Full name, David Crockett, cell 273, solitary. Gonzalez walked me through a couple of corridors, and then he opened his cell and let me inside. Davey Crockett was there, awake and standing up. He was about 4 feet high, skinny, with a head like a sunburned turnip. He had blue veins roaming all over his nose and a handlebar mustache to hold him up. He looked at me like I was holding the fifth ace.
Howdy, stranger.
My name's Regan, International Detective Bureau.
How do I know? Start anything and I'll set up a racket.
Now, I work for the Lion. You called him.
Maybe yes, maybe no. You got credentials?
Where do you want him?
Easy, son. Not talking to an amateur. Flyweight champion, Buenos Aires, 29. Grab yourself a squawk, partner.
All right. What are you so nervous about?
Nothing. Precautious, that's all.
All right, look, let's start at the beginning, shall we? What are you locked up for?
Fire plug. Got him in the dangest places in this burg.
What'd you do, steal it for your dog?
No. Parked my landlady's car alongside it while I ran an errand.
You don't get jugged for traffic tickets.
There were 2 cops. Looked like a posse. I don't like injustice.
All right, resisting arrest, is that all?
What more do you want? Told you I'm not a man to be trampled with. Taught judo in Tokyo, 34.
The Japs still lost the war.
Sit still, Regan. You're working.
On what?
Well, it's just another errand. It's not much.
Well, come on, let's pick up the tempo, will you? My bicycle's double parked.
Say, you ever get saddle sores on a bicycle? I did once. 8-day race.
Yeah, I know. Now, what about this errand?
Little package wrapped up in a sweater. In the alley by the ash can.
Go on.
I calculate I dropped it about 3.5 feet to the left of the big ash can.
By accident?
Man can't fight with his hands full. I wrote down the address for you here.
All right. What's in that sweater you didn't want the cops to see?
A polecat.
It fits the rest of your story, yeah.
Son, there's nothing in the life of Davey Crockett won't stand inspection. When you get the package, check it in at the Union Station.
And then what?
Save me the stub. You get 100.
Save it for bail. You could do this job yourself.
That's what I told you, Sonny. I'd like to be lonesome.
So you had him lock you up on purpose?
No, I just like it here. You want a reference? Check any of the boys in Gower Gulch.
Movie cowboy, huh?
Laddie, you're looking at the greatest jockey since Paul Revere. Eddie Sand to Eddie Arcaro. I beat them all. Kentucky Downs, 39.
Yeah, sure. Well, a job's a job, Davey, but I got a hot tip where I fit in.
Where's that?
Trailing the field. Well, I left the little man running his fingers through an old copy of Variety, and I went out into the street. It was about 3 o'clock, and a truck was throwing some water out and giving the gutter a shampoo. I picked up my car and started out to play retriever. That's when I spotted the blonde tailing me. She was using a 37 Packard, and the top was down. I could see her in the mirror. I could tell she had yellow hair like a rag doll. The Took a few fast turns to get rid of her, but then I was solo when I pulled to a stop by the alley off Gower. It was in back of some old movie studios. About then, a drunk came pouring down the street, did a loop around a fire plug at the head of the alley, and sat down. He was the talented kind, and I figured he thought I was Arthur Godfrey. Well, I scrambled over some broken beer bottles looking for the sweater. It finally showed, lying beside a pack of newspaper and some dame's torn petticoat. That's when the drunk lost his tilt and began looking at me. I picked up an old shoe, I wrapped it in a newspaper, and I started out of the alley. The drunk went back to his audition, moving toward me.
Mary, the dawn is breaking. Marie, you'll soon be waking. Hiya, friend. Have a drink.
That's not my brand.
Don't be a mug. A little drink between friends is real nice.
We haven't been introduced.
My name's Maxwell. What's yours?
Slipped my mind.
That's the trouble with the whole world. No fellowship. Except for my girl, Marie. You know Marie?
No, I don't.
Sort of short and plump with a little sinus trouble.
It's too bad.
Thought you might have met her. Lots of fellowship in that girl. Every time you look, another fella.
All right, move it, buddy.
Now, you don't want to get by me, friends. You want to stand right there and have a little drink.
You got the subject we're going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Here, what's in the package?
Dirty laundry.
Ain't that funny, though? I just got me a new Bendix.
Why don't you go into business?
That's what I'm going to do. You're my first customer.
No, I lux my dainties.
Yeah, don't go away, friend. I ain't through with my sales talk.
Well, hire a skywriter.
Hold up, I said.
Get your hands off of me.
All right, Regan, the round's over.
Yeah, what makes you the referee?
This does.
Friend here wants to play rough, Red.
Reconsider, Regan. It'll make you happy.
All right, what do you want?
The package.
You heard what he said, smart guy.
Why don't you work for it?
Heavy, Max. Oh. Don't leave, Regan. We're not finished.
I got the package, Red.
Give him a tip for picking it up.
Sure.
Oh.
Guess I overpaid him.
Well, it was easy to see it was their play. I had about as much chance as a midget in a basketball game. The muscles ambled off with the package that they took from me, and I crawled back for that sweater. It was still there, wrapped around something hard and round. And when I ripped it off, a shine caught my eye. It was a metal can of movie film, and the word Peru was marked on it. Not much for all the hush-hush, but it must have had a story. Well, I looked up a friend of mine who owned a camera shop, and I made a commotion with a $5 bill. That shook the sand out of him, and he rented me a projector with sound. The Lyons house was the next stop. We threw up a sheet on the wall and turned on the film. That completed the night. We had a trip to a good neighbor without a passport. Turned out to be a Joan Fitzpatrick giving us some kind of a travelogue.
The most colorful in the world. A temple of worship. Home of Peru, 2,000 years old.
A movie?
Well, stop screaming, will you? It's free.
You know I can't stand movies. I got sore eyes.
All right, shut up and listen to this.
New Peru, the marketplace. A street vendor dressed in gay native costume, selling delicacies to Peruvian children. Beads and jewels of exquisite beauty wrought by the hands of master Peruvian artisans. Horse racing and innovation from the modern world. And native dance.
I'm going to bed.
You won't sleep. I stole your eye shade.
Oh, Regan, I got to get up early. I got lots to do.
It'll keep.
A veritable symphony of motion. And so, it's with heavy heart we say adieu to lovely Peru. Land of the Peruvians. Land of charm and enchantment. And with the setting sun, we take our leave.
Well, what'd you get out of it?
A headache.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the morning.
No, I can't wait.
What you doing now?
I'm phoning the city jail.
Looking for a room?
Looking for information. Davey will supply it.
You've been drinking.
Now listen, big shot. Somebody's after this film for some reason. I'm going to find it.
City jail, Sergeant Gonzalez speaking.
Danny's Regan.
Oh, hiya, Regan. I'm glad you called. I just got that joke about the alligators.
Now, well, do me a favor, will you?
Sure, pal, sure. See, I told it to the lieutenant. He's still laughing. You know, it may earn me a promotion, pal.
Let me talk to Davey Crockett.
Oh, I can't do that, Regan.
Well, you can say I'm his lawyer.
Well, it's not that, pal. He's not here anymore.
What do you mean?
Some guy bailed him out 20 minutes ago. When I was telling the lieutenant the joke, this guy in the briefcase comes in, slaps down the bail. Out walks your friend.
Well, he said he liked it there.
And Davey must have changed his mind.
Where'd he go?
Not very far. Just over to the morgue.
Well, the cowboy from Gower Gulch had spun his last yarn. Gonzalez told me that somebody had shot Crockett as soon as he hit the street. Oh, none of this made sense. The phony job, the blonde who tailed me, the fight in the alley, the corny movie. Well, the lion shoved the film in a desk, and I went out the door. I cut across his yard, but I stopped on the opposite sidewalk. My car wasn't alone. There was a 40-foot nag sniffing at its rear fender.
Hey, Regan.
Oh, Maxwell.
That's me.
You look different. Did you take the cure?
Shut up. Somebody wants to see you.
If it's Marie, tell her my book's full.
Thought you might like a lift.
No, I got a friend who runs a streetcar. Now, go on, beat it.
Regan, don't be that way.
Offer him a panatella, Maxwell.
Who's this, your father-in-law?
You smoke, Regan?
No, it might explode.
Yes.
So long.
Hold it, Buster. Get in.
Oh, Max. Max, I told you before, you're on probation.
That's all right. Don't pick on him, teacher. He didn't hurt me.
Get in front, Max.
Sure.
Where's your other boy, Red? We could play some bridge.
I thought he'd do better in the shoe business.
The one I gave him didn't fit, huh?
I'm a much misunderstood man, Mr. Regan. I'm sure you'll put your best foot forward.
I'd love to.
My card, Horace Grundy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime earlier, a little man called me, Mr. Regan. Custer or Boone or...
Davey Crockett?
Of course. I want you to understand I get many such calls.
Party line.
It's a private number, but the salesmen bother me anyway.
Well, it's tough to be popular. Davey tell you what he was selling?
No.
Well, he didn't tell me either.
Have it your own way. When I told him I'd meet him, he said he'd arranged to get out of jail. He said all he wanted was a job.
And he got one.
Yes, only there's no future to it. I wouldn't want anything like that happening to you, Mr. Regan.
I'll renew my insurance.
Oh, no, you'll come with me. It's more friendly.
Suppose I don't like to talk.
You won't have to, if everything goes all right.
Oh, it's your taxi.
And you're paying the fare. All right, Maxwell. Cloverfield.
I never knew a guy could say the name of an airport and make it sound like Forest Lawn. Grundy sat in the corner checking the manicure on his fingernails, and Maxwell drove out of Olympic. By the time we skidded into Clover, I figured absolutely nothing. It was still only 4 a.m., but there was a string of cars parked in the lot. I spotted a 37 Packard Roadster, but I was too busy getting rushed up onto the field to look for the blonde. Besides, the faster we ran, the more excited Grundy got. And then we rounded a hangar, and the reporters hit us.
Say, Louis B's pretty sore, huh?
No. Louis B. and I are friends. Just his plugs are burned. Put us through, boys.
Hey, wait a second. This Julio who's traveling on the plane. They say he wants $250,000. You going to pay him today?
After I see a workout. Come on, Regan, let's go.
Yeah, you're a real big man, Grundy.
I'm going to be, Regan. El Romano. Best rep of any horse in South America.
So that's it, huh? Where the ruins come from.
What's that?
Peru?
Oh, sure. Peruvian National Airways gave Julio a special plane. Everything special.
Like in the movies. Well, look, suppose you watch him unload. I'll take a back seat here.
Oh, no, Regan. This is a big day. I want you to see what's the ambulance for.
Well, don't look at me.
Stick around, Regan. It could be you.
Hey, get that stretcher over there.
Oh, he kicked me, hit me. It's Julio.
That's the guy who owns him?
Must be. I tried to hold him. The hold of like, my rib.
Take it easy, boy. We got you.
What happened?
Bounce. The landing, she is rough, that is all. Where is the doctor?
You're going to the hospital. Lie down.
I'm broken in 6 places.
Lift up the stretcher. Come on, boys. Hurry it up.
Oh, he kicked me. Move fast, boys. Yes, hot.
Hey, Mr. Grundy, the horse.
Well, the guy on the plane started to yell just about the time they took Julio toward the rear of the ambulance. Grundy took a dive for the cargo door, and so did everybody else. And then I had to stand there while 6 feet of big shot cigar turned into a crybaby.
Look, Regan. Look at the horse's leg. He's kicked himself.
Okay, so he's clumsy.
But he might not run again. He was going to be mine, Regan.
Well, that's too bad. Call a vet.
I have already paid $50,000 retainer on the horse, Regan.
I'll send you a lawyer.
I got an idea you're connected with this.
Oh, dry up, Buster. It's an accident.
Yeah? I got an idea there's going to be another accident.
Grundy, maybe you're right.
Oh, hey, stop him!
I didn't wait to see if he went down. Maxwell swung, but I took off through the crowd. It figured that Cloverfield wasn't for me, and I wasn't going to stick around for the daisies. And then I spotted a ride, the rear end of Julio's ambulance. I made it just as the buggy started to move. I pulled the door shut and tried not to step on that stretcher inside. I shouldn't even have bothered that. The stretcher was empty. The only patient was me.
are listening to the story of the guy from Gower Gulch. Tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Commissions are still available in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve. Graduate registered nurses between the ages of 21 and 45 may qualify for service with this fine organization. If you are interested in joining the Army Nurse Corps and believe that you qualify for a commission, apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to Jeff Regan, Investigator, and the story of the guy from Gower Gulch.
Well, things were beginning to move like a hula dancer with a hot foot. Davey Crockett sent me out to pick up a roll of movie film. A Joan Fitzpatrick travelogue on beautiful Peru. There was something in it that was hot, but Crockett got himself plugged before he could say what it was. There were shots of a horse race in Peru. And when a big buster named Grundy turns up buying a nag from a Peruvian breeder, I figured a connection. So did when the horse got hurt and Julio did a disappearing act with his money, everybody looked at me. That's when I took the shortest way to Hollywood in an ambulance, got my car, and made it for home. Only parked up the street from my apartment was that same 37 Packard Roadster I'd been dodging all evening. The blonde wasn't in it. She was sitting in my place looking real hopeful.
Good evening. You keep late hours, Mr. Regan.
That's the kind of friends I've got.
Perhaps you ought to change them.
I'll stick it out. What do you want?
A little chance to talk to you.
It'll keep till morning.
Oh, but Mr. Regan, I've been waiting so long, you've got to talk to me now.
Why?
I'm Davey Crockett's wife. You've got something that belongs to me.
I don't see any wedding ring.
I don't wear one.
Scare off the other boys?
That's not a very nice remark, Mr. Regan.
No, but you'll let it go.
Only because it's not important.
Oh, stop it. You're not Davey's wife. If the little guy had anybody he could trust, he wouldn't have had to call him a lion.
All right, Mr. Regan. I lied.
Now, let's have it, lady. What are you after?
A roll of film.
That figures.
It's mine.
Convince me.
Mr. Regan, you're becoming very annoying.
Well, why don't you call the police?
But I tell you, it is mine.
Let's see the pink slip.
And so it is with heavy heart we bid adieu
That's
to...
enough. Yeah. I thought I knew that voice.
Davey stole the roll from my library. Now may I have it back?
Homicide will turn it over to you when they're ready.
I can't wait.
Well, what makes it so valuable?
I'm not sure.
Then how do you know it is?
Because I'm not stupid, Mr. Regan. Somebody goes to a lot of trouble to break into my film library. But he only steals one roll of film.
Go on.
I put the police on Davey, follow them to the jail. So you go after the film. That adds up to pretty important business.
Did you push those holes in Davey?
Of course not.
Yeah, you're going to get a chance to prove that when Homicide starts speaking in your cupboard.
About the film, I'll buy it from you.
No sale. There's the door, lady. Use it. I threw the light switch and grabbed for the floor. When the noise stopped, I looked up. My landlady was going to be mad. The shots plowed a few holes into her flower pot. The blonde turned a couple of different colors and decided she could find safer company. She left with a fire escape without even goodbye. Well, I headed for the Lions. The idea being to make sure that he'd turn that film over to the police and advertise that I didn't have it anymore. That figured to cool me off and I could catch some sleep again. When I got there, the Lion looked kind of excited. He was wrapped up in a silk robe with red and gray stripes, and he carried a drink to match. He was holding a piece of that movie film up to the light.
Hey, Regan, I've been calling all over for you. Where you been?
I'm looking for a bed.
I don't pay you to sleep. You're on a job. Now, I've been thinking since you left. We're handling this wrong.
Yeah, now that's what I figure. Get on the phone.
What for?
To tell Homicide you got a package for him. You're turning over that film right now.
Easy.
You heard me, big shot. I'm tired of playing the fall guy.
Now, Regan, you don't know what you're saying. I've been running over the section on that Peruvian horse race. And you know what?
You picked the winner.
And we're going to collect.
Who's making book?
The insurance company.
Now, come on, clear it up.
Look at this clip.
Yeah.
Well, what do you see? What do you see?
Looks like a horse.
But look at him. He's way out in front. El Romano.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, here's the way I add it up. This film tells a story, or everybody wouldn't be grubbing around for it.
Well, now, that takes a big brain.
So somebody's engineering a phony.
Who?
That's what you're going to find out. But I'll tell you one thing. That nag's insured by Banner Trust, and they pay off big if we can turn up the swindle.
All right. Give me that picture.
Where you going?
Over to Grundy's to check the horse.
Now you're talking, Regan. You dig that out and we'll be eating squab.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you'll be collecting your unemployment insurance.
Well, the payoff's about the same. didn't like it any better than a fan dancer likes a wind tunnel. I'd already seen enough of Grundy and his boys for one night, but when the lion gets an idea, he's like a hangman with a new rope. So I went out to test it. I found Horace Grundy's place. It was a bright new house in the San Fernando Valley. There was some fancy fence in back, and a stable looked like the paint was still wet where it said El Romano. A trailer was parked on the road with a truck from the veterinarians. When Grundy opened the front door, it looked like he'd been sitting a 3-day wake, but without any beer.
Hello, Regan.
Well, what's the verdict?
It's bad, Regan. Bad. Tendons torn. Never run. Never.
Yeah, you said that.
I can't believe it.
Uh-huh. I knew somebody else liked animals. A guy from Gower Gulch.
Decided to talk?
Maybe. If you keep your hands in the audience.
What else did Crockett say?
Now you got him on the wheel.
All right, you drive.
That's better. You know the horse is insured?
Not by me, it isn't.
You don't own it. You just paid a deposit.
Sure, 50 G's.
You got it back yet?
There's plenty of time. Julio's in the hospital.
Oh? Well, now, if it wasn't for the accident, you would have coughed up another $200,000.
Yes. No. Oh, what difference does it make? The whole deal's a bust now.
What if that horse is a phony?
Say some more, Regan.
I don't know much more. Davey Crockett was a movie fan.
You're doing fine. He had pictures?
I wouldn't advertise them, but there's a shot of a horse winning a race. Take a look here.
Give me that.
All right, it's economy size. You're going to ruin your eyesight.
I got a magnifying glass for my income tax.
Well, let's get a light behind it. Now, what do you see?
Horse.
You get a star.
4 white feet.
I can do that well myself.
Listen, Regan. Horse in the stable's got 3.
That does it. My boss gets promoted.
Come on outside. I'll show you.
I'll take your word for it. Let go of me. I got my information.
Maxwell, where are you?
I told you, don't whistle the bulldogs.
You're in it now, Regan. You're on my side.
All right, drop your blood pressure. There's a handkerchief on the plate.
Hey, wait. Hello. I look for somebody. Good morning.
Pan America.
Si, I'm Julio. Is Mr. Grundy?
That's the guy with his mouth open there.
How do you do? I'm so glad to meet in person.
Chogat.
Okay?
You switched horses.
No, you'll not understand. El Romano, he kicked me.
Wait for the encore.
Mr. Grundy, with belief, I'm telling you.
Now, look, you better make it fast, Julio. This guy goes
Shut
off.
up, Regan. A man trades a stretcher for a slab. Let him talk.
The hospital. I did not go. Julio is honest. A debt comes first.
The interest's going up.
When El Romano hurts himself, I know the deal is off. I know I must see the consul, so we cash the check.
What?
Here we are. 10,000, 20, 30, 40, 50. Your down payment is up. Now we are one big happy United Nations, no?
Well, that's what happened. Now there were 2 guys with their mouths open. By the time we got them closed, the little gent from Peru had waddled off someplace, and Grundy folded his money and started to laugh. He was happy, and at least I had what I came for. Figured I could dump the whole plate of spaghetti on the lion. The lead horse in the travelogue was a different nag from the one in the stable. So I got in my car and headed for home. But I picked up a newspaper on the corner, and then the whole bucket turned upside down again. The green sheet was loaded with publicity shots of El Romano from South America, and he was exactly the same oat burner that came in on the plane, feet and all. No switch there. Well, there was something phony in this act. It was that winner in that Fitzpatrick film. Well, for a minute I felt like a test pilot in a yo-yo factory, and then the string broke. I took a fast run to the Lions and one more look at those movies. I had it. The case was beginning to wind. 10 minutes later, I was back on Gower Gulch.
Yes? Who is it?
Regan, you alone?
Don't be insulting.
I'll open the door. What's the matter? You're slow.
What do you want?
Ask me in.
No.
Ask me in.
Regan, look out!
Be careful, Regan. I have a gun.
Well, Julio.
Yes, Julio.
Uh-huh. What are you doing here?
Well, I told you.
I know. Back at my place, you're aiming at her, not me. She's been to Peru. She has the films. You knew that.
You whistle like I know it.
I go to the movies like everybody else. I keep my eyes on the winner. After Hollywood Park, I should have known better.
Yeah, there are lots of races.
El Romano was a dud. He came in last. 60 lengths with Davey Crockett digging in the spurs. You gave the nag a build-up. Phony publicity to the sucker and insurance company.
$250,000, I was over.
Can it? You could have never closed a sale without Grundy watching a workout. That would have been a slow boat to China.
You want to be a sailor, too?
Oh, stop being tough, will you? You wore yourself out when you kicked up El Romano in that plane.
It looked good.
Yeah. Not to me or Joan.
Look out, Regan. You're asking for a daily double.
Well, and I'm going to take it across the board. Give me that gun.
Leave me
Drop
alone.
it.
No, you're breaking my arm.
That's the idea.
I'll kick you in the stomach.
You better go back to his stretcher.
Well,
Yeah.
you can be useful.
Well, when I'm working.
What about after hours? I'm not bad, you know.
No, I never noticed.
Look again.
No, I'm all through with the ponies.
Want to bet?
Davey Crockett told me to play my hunches.
Here I am.
Yeah, but you're a loser.
What do you mean?
You threw those holes into Davey.
It was Julio.
Oh, you're trying real hard, but he was on the plane.
What do I do now?
Well, you might bid a fondue to Gower Gulch.
That's not funny, Regan.
I know it, but you ran out of film. Well, the whole thing blew up like a hoop skirt in a high wind. Julio had a real good thing until he ran into the little man with a good memory and a dame with a fast trigger finger. Her blackmail fix was already set up, but Davey figured to queer it, so she had to knock him off. Well, the hospital boys came after Julio, and homicide dated Joan, the travel queen. The Lion was pretty excited about the way things worked out. He figured that the insurance company would come across with some green stuff for exposing a fraud. They did. That was the color of the season pass they gave him to the Burton Holmes travel lectures.
Jack Webb is featured as Jeff Regan with Herb Butterfield as Anthony J. Lyon. It's CBS at the same time next week for more hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. Written by Larry Roman and Jackson Gillis, produced by Sterling Tracy. Included in tonight's cast were Leo Clary, Clayton Post, Yvonne Patey, Ed Begley, and Herb Ellis. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. For the first time in history, qualified nurses have the opportunity of receiving commissions in the regular Army Reserve. These nurses will remain on inactive status, ready to serve their country in time of emergency. 4,000 of them, if they wish, may choose active duty. All nurses who receive commissions will benefit from the opportunity for specialized training offered to them by the Army. Inactive reserve status will not interfere with the nurse's civilian life, but the educational opportunities offered her by the Army Medical Department will be of a great advantage in her work. Don't wait. If you're a registered graduate nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, drop a card for complete information to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Original music for this program is by Milton Charles, Bob Stevenson speaking. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Heard on the West Coast on this date, 76 years ago, November 13th, 1948. Jeff Regan Investigator here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. If you like what you hear, tell your friends. That's really the best thing you can do to help us grow the podcast. We've noticed a growth in the last few weeks, and we appreciate you sharing us. It really makes a big, big difference. You can also, if you'd like to help us, buy me a coffee. You can do that at classicradio.stream. We have a number of items available for sale there, and if you take advantage of those, we get a couple of pennies from those as well. That's over at classicradio.stream. Up next, a rarity, because we don't have many of these shows. This one wasn't broadcast in the U.S. It's Macabre.
There's a price tag on almost everything. Whether you drive a shiny new 1952 model or a pre-war jalopy, you had to pay the price. And when you're driving that car, remember that speed also has its price. The price tag on speed violations last year was 15,000 killed and 500,000 injured. This year, thousands of lives can be saved if you and millions of other motorists come to the sober realization that speed is the biggest killer on the highways and resolve to slow down before you or someone else pays the price that must be paid for it. You can do your part by keeping within speed limits. At all times, drive as though your life depends on it. It does.
We've talked about how classic radio started disappearing severely after 1958. And by 1961, all you had left was Suspense and yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and some religious programs. Well, the folks over at the Far East Radio Network, part of the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service, tried to keep radio alive. They produced this program. We have a couple of episodes of it. If you like it, let me know. It's called Macabre. This is from 63 years ago, November 13th, 1961.
Man lives in a world of time and space. He lives in a spectrum of the universe. When he ventures beyond this limit, he is in the unknown, a realm where strange forces are brought into play. When man attempts to misuse these forces, he is sometimes destroyed. This is Macabre.
The Far East Network presents in special performance, Macabre. Tonight's story, Final Resting Place.
Roger, this doesn't look like the road. Honey, I think we're lost.
It has to be right, Sue. Justice of the Peace back at Carterville said the lake was on the main highway. We haven't made any turns.
But, darling, it's getting dark. This road doesn't look well-traveled. I really think we made a wrong turn somewhere.
Mrs. Kent, your husband solemnly promises to deliver his bride of a few hours safely and surely to Honeymoon Lodge on Mirror Lake. Now, let's hear no more about it. Come on, move closer. Head on my shoulder. That's it.
Roger, you better watch the road.
Why? We haven't passed another car for an hour. Relax, Sue. It's a fine way to start a married life of bliss.
Look, there's a sign. Can you make it out?
Yeah. Randolph, 5 miles.
Are we supposed to go this way?
Sure. Why'd I tell you? It's only 50 miles farther. Randolph is our halfway point.
But this country road, how can they call a lonely trail like this a highway?
You're just a sophisticated cityite. Now close your eyes and listen to the radio. We'll be there before you know it.
All right, darling. I guess I'm getting jumpy.
Head on my shoulder and not another word. Okay?
Okay.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. Authorities of the state asylum have just issued the following warning. A dangerous homicidal maniac escaped custody this morning and is believed to be in the vicinity of Randolph.
Roger.
He's 45 years of age, weighs 200 pounds, has thick gray hair, and answers to the name of Dr. Vardmore. We repeat, this man is a dangerous killer. Those in the vicinity of Randolph are urged to take extra precaution tonight. Since this killer is armed, the public is warned against walking alone or driving at night on the quiet roads near Randolph. Report all suspicious persons to the county sheriff's office. Now we return you to Stars of Music.
Roger, did you hear that?
Sure, but how does it concern us?
Darling, we are driving down a country road near Randolph. Suppose we should have car trouble or a flat tire.
Oh, you are getting jumpy.
Let's stop in Randolph for the night.
But, Sue, our reservations at Mirror Lake are for tonight.
Roger, I have the strangest feeling. If we don't stop at Randolph, we'll never reach Mirror Lake.
Great idea, Sue.
What, darling?
Stopping here for the night? Now we can see the carnival.
It's all right while these people are here, I guess. But we'd better go back to the hotel before they leave.
Are you still afraid?
Well, kinda. Aren't you?
Come on. I'll show you a good time. You'll forget all about it.
Okay. What's that man doing over there?
And now, ladies and gentlemen, if you would kindly step closer,
I don't know.
I will demonstrate for you one of the great marvels of all time.
As you see at my feet is a hole. An excavation 6 feet in depth. A grave, if you will. And beside me here is a casket. Now, friends, what do you think we are going to do? Now, friends, ladies and gentlemen, have no fear. Tonight, I, Professor Vincent, will select someone, one of you from the audience, to be hypnotized and placed in this casket. Then I will bury him alive for 5 days.
If he's not buried that long, he ain't gonna wind up much alive.
Just a moment, please. 5 days at $100 a day. Now, what do you say? Who wants to make $500? There is absolutely no danger. A shaft will be sunk so that we can see your head. You'll get plenty of light and air. Food will be lowered to you. Nothing to it at all. Who'll be the first volunteer?
You got as popular as an undertaker, pal.
Come now, ladies and gentlemen. Under hypnosis, believe me, 5 days will seem like an hour. The easiest $500 you've ever made. Who will volunteer? How about you, my bumpkin comedian friend?
No, sirree. Last year I took sick with pneumonia. Thought sure I'd end up in one of them boxes.
Did you recover? It's hard to tell from looking at you. You, sir, what is your name?
Roger, he's pointing at you.
I don't think I'd be interested.
Who are you, sir?
Roger Kent.
Roger Kent. Does $500 interest you?
Well, sure, but,
Good. Good, you'll make a fine subject.
Now, wait a minute.
And, Roger, who is the young lady with you?
My wife, Sue.
Oh? And what do you say, Mrs. Kent?
Why, I think it's just a dreadful idea. No.
You better pick someone else, Professor.
Nonsense. Do you need the money?
We do need it. But not this way, Roger. It's awful.
$500 would pay off the car. We still have 10 days left for our honeymoon, Sue.
Well, how about it, friends?
Don't let him tempt you. I don't like that man.
It is a lot of money for only 5 days.
We can't wait all night. What do you say?
I don't know.
Say no, Roger.
Speak up. Yes or no?
I'd hate to turn it down.
You're not going to be buried in that terrible coffin. Tell him no.
Go ahead, pal. We got a first-class cemetery.
All right, everyone. Roger and Sue, time's up. Tell you what I'll do. Think it over. If you decide to go through with it, come back after a couple of hours when the carnival is closed for the night. I'll be waiting for you in my trailer.
Oh, Roger, he wants you. I'm afraid of that man.
Don't forget, I'll wait up for you until you decide one way or the other. Roger Kent will hold the grave open for you.
Roger, I'm afraid.
Listen, Sue, my mind's made up.
But suppose...
Face up to it. We need the money. That's the easiest $500 I ever heard of.
Darling, I know that.
Then what's the matter?
Well, in the first place, we shouldn't be out here in the dark with that madman loose. In the second place...
Professor Vincent seems too interested in me.
Oh, Roger, you read my mind. I'm just trying to protect you, honey. That man, I don't know. There's something wrong.
Admit it, Sue. You don't like the buried alive act. Isn't that it?
Yes, I guess so. It's horrible.
I thought so. Uh-oh. This must be his trailer. Professor Vincent. Here it is.
Roger.
Yeah?
If he answers, there'll be no turning back. It'll be too late.
I know. No turning back.
Professor Vincent?
Come in, Roger and Sue. Come in.
Did you really think would come?
I was certain. You see, there is no other way. When I count 3, Roger, you will be asleep. Sound asleep on your feet. Then, Roger, you will be placed in the coffin and lowered into the grave for your 5-day rest. Now look deeply into my eyes. Deeply. Inhale and look deeply into my eyes.
You're going to sleep, Roger. To sleep. You can no longer move your arms. They hang helpless at your side. Sleep, Roger. Close your eyes and sleep. 1, 2. Your eyes are closed. And now you are powerless to open them. You are free. Asleep.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to place Roger Kent in the casket. Whom among you in the audience will help me?
I will, Professor.
All right, my friend, step right up here now. Here, help me raise the lid of this coffin.
Now, give me his feet and we'll put him in.
Careful, he's a big man. There, he's in.
God, heavy as a rock. Just like a dead man.
Yes, now, close the lid. Close it. Now we're ready to lower into the grave. You see, the casket is supported over the open hole by 2 chains. If you'll flip that switch the same time I flip this one, Mr. Kent will be gently deposited in his grave.
This one?
Yes. There it goes.
Glory be. Just like a real funeral. Reminds me of the time we buried my grandpappy.
Ladies and gentlemen, in just a few moments, the coffin will lie at the bottom of the grave. We will then place an air shaft down to Mr. Kent's head so that he will be able to breathe. And all of you will be able to see him at 25 cents apiece.
I don't know. I just don't know.
Thank you, friend. You've done your work now. Will you kindly leave? Thank you. You are witnessing the marvel of the age. A human being being buried alive. The casket has stopped. Will another volunteer from the audience help me position the air shaft?
How about me?
Fine. Step up here, friend, if you please.
You picked the right one this time, Governor.
So?
I used to work in a funeral parlor. Handled a stiff.
Yes, now, just pick up that end of the metal shaft, please. Easy does it now. Down over the round opening on the casket lid. Careful now. There. Thank you very much, my friend. Neat, very neat.
Okay, Governor. What next?
The shovel. The hole must be covered up.
Oh, sure.
And that is it, ladies and gentlemen. You have just seen demonstrated the marvel of the age. A man buried alive. Mr. Kent will lie there in a deep slumber, the end of which time we'll dig him up and pay him $500. In the meantime, my friends, you may step up here and view him down the shaft for a small sum of 25 cents, 1/4, the 1/4 part of a dollar. Ladies and gentlemen, who will be first among you?
No, sir.
What's that you say?
Dishonest, I say.
What's the matter with you?
Charging money to see him buried alive.
What?
I ought to know. I helped you lift him in.
Leave the carnival, sir. Leave here immediately.
That man ain't buried alive. He's dead.
Hello?
Hello, Mrs. Kent. This is Professor Vincent. I got your message. First chance I've had to call you.
Oh, Professor, I'm so glad you did.
What's on your mind?
How is Roger?
I keep telling you he's all right. Now you must stop this nonsense.
Well, it's been 3 days since he was buried, and he just lies there so still. Oh, if I could only talk to him.
Mrs. Kent.
I called down to him, but he never moves or opens his eyes. And after all this time, I know something is wrong. Roger wouldn't let me worry like this. He'd at least look up and smile, if he could.
How many times must I repeat he is hypnotized?
We interrupt this program for a special news bulletin.
Oh, just a moment, Professor. The radio...
Sheriff's office has just confirmed the whereabouts of the homicidal maniac who escaped from the state asylum 3 days ago. This dangerous killer who calls himself Dr. Vardmore is now known to be in the immediate vicinity of Randolph. Everyone is cautioned against walking alone on the streets after dark. If you plan to attend the carnival, kindly do so with friends, and leave the carnival in the company of others. Report all suspicious persons. We return you now to your regular program.
Did you hear that on the radio?
Yes, I did.
Oh, Professor, I'm terribly afraid. I don't want Roger alone down there with this madman loose. Please, Professor, dig Roger up tonight.
Mrs. Kent, we made a bargain. A business proposition. Kindly stay in your hotel room and rest. This is the 3rd day. The day after tomorrow, it will be all over for Roger and for you.
pardon me, ma'am. Are you Mrs. Kent?
Why, yes. Who are you?
I'm the one who helped put your husband in the casket.
Well, why are you talking to me?
I don't know. Just to warn you, I guess. I think your husband's dead.
Oh, you horrible, horrible little man. Get away from me. I'll call the police.
That's you, Mrs. Kent.
Oh, Professor Vincent, I'm so glad to see you. A terrible little man.
Yes, I heard what he said. Now get hold of yourself and listen to me carefully. This is the 5th night. I want you to go to the hotel and wait until the carnival is over. Tonight is the last showing at Randolph. At 11:30, you take a taxi out here to the lot. I'll meet you. Roger will be ready along with the $500.
All right, Professor. Anything you say. Oh, thank God this is about to end.
Yes, my dear. It's all about to end.
Are you going out, Miss Kent?
Yes, clerk. And here's the key to my room.
Thank you. I don't think it's wise, though. I mean, you're going out alone. It's after 11 and mighty dark tonight.
The police haven't caught the killer yet?
No. Funny thing, too. Looks like he'll have to leave a fresh trail. You know, kill somebody so they'll have more to go on. Now, why don't you take someone with you?
Oh, I'll be all right. I'm meeting Professor Vincent at the carnival lot. This is the night they released my husband.
I see.
Do you know the professor?
Oh, yes, I do.
Well, he's the one who hypnotized Mr. Kent.
No. Professor Vincent didn't.
What?
Professor got sick 5 days ago.
Got sick? Well, then who was Professor Vincent at the carnival?
I don't know. Somebody who took his place, I guess.
Here you are, driver. Thank you.
Professor Vincent, it's so dark. Where are you?
I'm sure the carnival was on this vacant lot, but now there's nothing. Just a few old papers blowing in the wind. Oh, why did I let that cab leave? No light in sight. Those trees around the lot. What if the killer were hiding there? Oh, the place Roger was buried. It was in this direction. This way. Maybe I can find it. And Grandma picked out where they dug him up and filled the hole. Must be right around here. Oh, where is it? Oh, what's this? A mount.
No. Oh, they can't do that. They went away and left you buried. Oh, Roger. I'll get you out, honey. Oh, my darling, I'll help you. I'll dig.
Something is watching me from those trees. I saw it move. I could get out of here. I'll be back, Roger. There's an all-night filling station 5 blocks away. Maybe I can make it there. Oh, it moved again. There is someone out there. Roger, is that you? No, it's coming after me. It's too big for Roger. I don't know what it is. It's gaining on me. I can't let it catch me. No!
Mrs. Kent, calm yourself, please.
Who are you?
Don't you know? I'm Professor Vincent. I was waiting for you. Now, come with me to my trailer.
No, you're not Professor Vincent.
So, you guessed.
Who are you?
There's nothing to be alarmed about. You're in safe hands at last. I am Victor. Dr. Victor Vardmore.
I've been asleep, I guess. Legs feel cramped. Mind's foggy. Can't remember what happened. Sue, where are you? Dark. Pitch black. Must be night. Quiet. Not a sound. I can only remember. Think back. Smells damp, like fresher. Where am I? Gotta get up and stretch my leg. No rooms. Wait a minute. There was this carnival. Professor Vincent. Oh, it's beginning to come back now. I was hypnotized and put in a casket. Buried for 5 days, yeah. Yeah, it's clear now. Time's up, yeah. They're gonna dig me up now. Boy. The deep hypnotic spell that old boy put me in. Glad it's over. Okay, Professor. You can bring me up now. I guess he stepped away from the shaft. Shaft? Where's the shaft? It's supposed to be over my head here so I can see up. Here, can't see a thing. Cloth-lined coffin lid where shaft should be. What's going on here? I'd like to get out, Professor. Possible they went away and left me buried alive? Oh, no. Professor! Sue! Help! I'm buried alive! Good Lord. Help! Gotta get out. Help me, somebody! Don't leave me down here to die! Help! Push harder! More! No use. Won't budge. Help! I'm gonna die. You left me here to die. Can't call for help. Nobody'd hear me. Carnival left. Nothing up there but vacant lot, edge of town. Somebody came back. How could he tell I was down here buried? Oh, God, don't let this happen to me. Please. Help me. Save me. God, don't let this. I don't want to die. I'm hearing things.
This is Professor Vincent. Now listen carefully.
Where are you? Get me out of here.
Don't fret. Your oxygen supply won't last much longer.
Oxygen?
You're buried alive, Roger. And I'm not coming back for you.
Not going back?
I'm leaving you buried there.
Well, Professor, I'll kill you.
How, Roger? Tell me how.
I'll kill...
Don't excite yourself any further. The oxygen pellet won't sustain your lungs. You are hearing my voice in a small, shortwave receiver and transmitter near your head. I am talking to you from my trailer about a block from you. Sue is with me, Roger. I want you to listen very, very carefully. Sue, there.
Go ahead, Sue. Tell him.
Oh, Roger, are you all right?
Yes. What's he doing with you?
Please do as he says, darling. He's not the real professor. He's that escaped madman from the asylum, Dr. Vardmore.
He's crazy, Sue.
Please, darling, we have no choice.
Please, quick.
Listen to me. One move like that, and I will kill you both. I've gone to a lot of trouble to set up my final demonstration.
What are you going to do?
I am going to try personality transference. We have the required situation. A man buried alive in mortal fear of death. And the woman he loves, who will do anything to save him.
If we do, as you say, what then?
I will release the two of you.
And if we don't?
You have just enough oxygen for just a few more minutes.
I see.
Hurry, Dr. Vardmore. Get it over with.
Now, Roger, I want you to think about Sue. Sue, you about Roger. Each imagine he is the other. Roger, you are standing beside me in the trailer. Sue, you are lying down there in the casket.
No!
Cooperate and I will free you. It's your only way out of that grave.
If it works, you mean I'll be in Sue?
Yes, and she in yours.
Do it, darling. It's our only chance.
He's not Sue.
That's enough. One more refusal, and I'll turn off the shortwave transmitter and leave you in your dark world forever. Now, Roger, imagine you are Sue standing here. Sue, you concentrate on being Roger in the casket. Think. Put everything else out of your minds. I have it. Repeat something you both know. Say the 23rd Psalm. Here we go now. Start with me. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters.
He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in paths of righteousness
for his name's sake, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table.
Roger! Sue! Help me! Don't leave me down here! The oxygen! It's going! Save me! Quickly! Take me up! I'm dying! No,
Just heard Macabre, a special Far East Network presentation. In our cast were John Buey as Professor Vincent, Mitzi Hennessy as Sue, William Verdier as Roger, Milton Radmilovich, Air Force Sergeant Bob Eddy, and Air Force Sergeant Newell Stewart. Technical supervision by Hiroshi Odo. This is Air Force Sergeant Al LePage speaking. Macabre was written and directed by William Verdier.
Macabre comes to you each week at this time through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Something much edgier than you would hear in 1960 radio. It really was very edgy, but then it was aimed towards servicemen. From this date back in 1961, 63 years ago, November 13th, 1961, Macabre on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Lum and Abner coming up next. Coming up, as we said, tomorrow, Dr. Christian, Gunsmoke, Dark Fantasy, The Green Hornet, and Superman. That'll be coming up on our Thursday show. Friday, a pair of Jack Benny shows from 1936 and 1953. My Friend Irma, starring Marie Wilson, Fibber McGee, and Molly. And then Saturday, Amos and Andy, the Aldrich Family, The Great Gildersleeve, and a Thanksgiving-themed episode, and a half hour with Lum and Abner. That's all coming up in the next few days. Coming up right now, though, Lum and Abner, as we mentioned.
There's a price tag on almost everything. Whether you drive a shiny new 1952 model or a pre-war jalopy, you had to pay the price. And when you're driving that car, remember that speed also has its price. The price tag on speed violations last year was 15,000 killed and 500,000 injured. This year, thousands of lives can be saved if you and millions of other motorists come to the sober realization that speed is the biggest killer on the highways and resolve to slow down before you or someone else pays the price that must be paid for it. You can do your part by keeping within speed limits. At all times, drive as though your life depends on it. It does.
Let's wrap up this episode of the podcast with an episode of Lum and Abner. This goes back 83 years to November 13th, 1941, when they're dealing with the library.
The makers of Alka-Seltzer bring you Lum and Abner. Say, folks, do you enjoy doing favors for your friends? Well, Lum and Abner do, and they want to do a favor for all of you, their radio friends. They want you to know about the genuine relief that Alka-Seltzer offers for minor stomach upsets. You have no idea what a real favor they're doing you until you take Alka-Seltzer and see what prompt relief and what pleasant relief it brings for acid indigestion, distress after meals, and excess gastric acidity. Now, if you're like most folks, you occasionally eat too much, you eat at all hours, and sometimes eat the wrong kind of food. Then it usually isn't very long before your stomach starts to kick up a fuss and you begin to suffer. Well, next time this happens, drink a glass of Alka-Seltzer, and you'll help yourself to twofold relief. You see, Alka-Seltzer does more than reduce excess gastric acidity. It also helps to relieve that uncomfortable fullness and ease the discomfort of an upset stomach. No wonder, then, when you stop to consider how pleasant Alka-Seltzer is to take and how effective it is, that countless thousands of folks always keep a package of these modern effervescent tablets in their home and at their place of work, too. You'll want to do the same once you've tried it. So don't put it off. Ask your druggist for Alka-Seltzer, and the sooner the better. He has it by the package and also serves it by the glass at his soda fountain. And now, let's see what's going on down in Pine Ridge. Well, Lum and Abner are working hard trying to organize their newest public service venture, a library for Pine Ridge. Lum is especially pleased with this enterprise because it's helping him to gain the attention of Miss Fredericks, the new schoolteacher. As we look in on the little community today, we find Abner in the Jot 'em Down store. Grandpappy Spears has just entered. Listen.
Well, come in, Grandpap. Glad to see you.
Well, howdy, Abner. How are you rascal, you?
Oh, tolerably, I reckon.
You all by yourself?
Yeah, Lum's over getting some advice from Miss Frederick on running a library.
Yeah. Oh, Miss Fredericks, huh?
Yeah.
I thought that was Lum. I seen a while ago heading over towards the schoolhouse. Had on his Sunday suit, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's blue serge.
Yeah, that's the one. He's getting awful big ideas in his head since he took up being a librarian. And then Miss Frederick told him he was doing a good thing for Pine Ridge.
A good thing?
Yeah, putting in the free public library.
Uh-huh.
She said he's helping both the young'uns and the growed-up folks get educated and get book learning and all such as that.
Sassafras. Sassafras. What does growed-up folks need educating for?
Well, I don't know, but Lum, he believes every word Miss Frederick says. He's even got to where he's going around here calling himself Andrew.
Andrew?
Yeah, Miss Frederick told him he'd just like some feller named, Andrew Carnegie. I think that's how it's pronounced.
Never heard of him.
Well, he's some big city feller that's in the library business. Made quite a success out of himself, according to her.
Yeah, never heard of him.
Well, to be honest, Grandpap, I never did neither, but, Lum thinks he's something wonderful.
Well?
Just look at that sign he's got stuck up over in the library part of the store.
Whereabouts?
Over this way, around here.
Oh, yeah. L. Andrew Edwards, President and Head Librarian. L. Andrew, such prattle. What's that table for?
Well, that's to sit around and read and study and stuff like that. You want to sit around it and try it out?
No, I don't want to sit around. Wait a minute, wouldn't that table be a good place to play checkers?
Huh? Hey, doggies, why didn't I think of that before? Why, sure, this library idea better than I thought it was.
Yeah, get the board out and I'll play you a game, Abner.
Yeah, I'll get it right here. Just a minute. You go ahead and sit down.
Yeah. This ain't a bad little old table. Whereabouts did you get it?
Why, out of the back room there. We had some feed setting on it.
Oh, yeah, I recollect seeing it sitting back there.
Here, where? Now, which do you want, the red uns or the black uns?
Oh, I don't care. Give me the red uns. I'm unlucky with them. That'll give you a better chance. Make the game about even.
I don't need nothing to make the game even. Come on here.
What you got that line drawn down the middle of the floor there for?
Why, Lum done that. Divides the library from the store. See, over on that side... Oh, wait a minute. I forgot to tell you. We got a whisper over here.
Whisper?
Yeah.
What for?
What, see that sign? Silence, no out loud talking in library.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to talk out loud, well, you have to get on the other side of the line. Lum just raises the roof about that.
Oh, I see. Well, excuse me. Go ahead. You move first.
Well, I done moved.
Well, wait, you can't move up there, Abner.
I can, too. You done it the last time we played.
Well, I never done no such a thing.
You did do. I seen you.
I never done it, Abner.
Yes, you did.
That's cheating. You can't move up there.
Wait a minute. Don't talk out.
I don't care what the sign says, Dad. Blame it. You can't move a checker up there to start the game
Now,
with.
listen, Grandpap. If you're going to cheat, just get on out of here.
Why, I don't have to get out
You
here.
do done it.
I've got rights, Dad. Blame it. I know how to play checkers.
You come over
cheating.
here and bantered me for a game of checkers if you ain't
For
going
goodness sakes, what are you two hollering about?
Oh, I never seen you coming in long.
And get that checkerboard out of the library. Well, wait, Grandpap. I don't mean you have to get out of the store. Don't stop me. Don't stop me. I wouldn't stay in here and play checkers with that cheating partner of yours if he's the last man in the world.
Yeah.
Well, don't run off, Grandpap.
Let him go. Get on out of here. Look at him stomping out. Thinks he's so smart.
Well, do goodness, Abner. I don't see why you and Grandpap can't get along with one another.
Well, you know what he done, Lum? He claimed that I couldn't move
I
this.
don't care what he claimed. We got more important stuff to do. There's more to running the library than I figured there was.
Biggest cheat I ever seen.
Miss Fredericks was showing me how to keep track of which books is out and which ones is in and all that stuff. Which one's overdue and which is underdue. Granny, she's going to be a big help to us, Abner.
I seen him make that very same move, but I can't do it. Oh, no.
Abner, forget about checkers and learn a little about the library business.
Snake
Looky here. This is a picture of the New York Library. Miss Fredericks give it to me.
Hate and despise.
Granny, that's the kind of a building I want to get eventual. Look at that, Abner.
Uh-huh. If he can cheat, I can
Just
too.
look at that big stone front there and them windows. And them lines sitting out there beside the entrance. You know, that's what we ought to have, a couple of them lines.
Lines?
Why, sure. The New York Library's got two, and the librarian at the county seat's got a couple of them. That's how you can tell it's a library. Just like when you see a barber pole outside, you know there's a barber shop inside. Yes, sir, we ought to have some lines.
Well, maybe so, but it's hard to believe.
Hard to believe.
That lines can read.
I didn't say anything about lines reading.
Well, what they doing all this hanging around libraries for then?
They don't hang around. These lines are just set there by somebody.
Well, you don't expect them to just stay sitting there, do you?
I don't know why not. That is, except if somebody steals them. And it's easy enough to prevent that. We could chain them down some way or other.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Chain them down, yes, sir. That way they couldn't bite nobody coming in the store.
Bite nobody?
Why, sure. Lions has got awful big mouths, Lum, and long, sharp teeth. They're known as the king of the jungles, you know.
I know what a lion is, but the kind of lions I'm talking about can't bite nobody.
Too old, huh?
Of course not. I'm aiming on getting new ones.
Oh, too young. Yeah, that's a good idea. That way you can raise them to suit yourself and tame them as you go along.
Abner, can't you understand? I'm just talking about the kind you get for decorations.
Well, we can decorate them. I'll get Elizabeth to dig up some ribbon summers, and we'll tie big bows around her neck. I doggies, them little baby lions look cute decorated up that way long.
For goodness sakes, can't you get anything straight?
Well, what's wrong now? Ain't I helping you with your idea? I admit I still ain't much in favor of it, 'cause they're going to be an awful bother, Lum, but if you want lines, I doggies will have lines.
Well, of course I want lines, but not the
well,
kind
then what are you for goodness saking about then? Seems like every time I try to help you with an idea, you get mad and disgusted.
I ain't mad and disgusted.
You are too, I can tell.
Well, all right, I am mad and disgusted.
Well, I know you are. Wait a minute. Where are you going?
I don't know. I think I'll find Grandpappy Spears and sympathize with him. I know just how he felt whenever he stomped out of here a while ago.
Well, now, wait a minute. Come on back here, Lum. Now, I'll study up some way to help you get the lines. Honest, I will.
Just let it go, let it go. The lines is out. You watch the store the rest of the day.
Well, now, wait a minute, Lum. Wait a minute. There comes Squire Skimp. See him coming yonder?
I can see him. You can wait on him. I'll see you later.
Oh.
Yeah, howdy, Squire.
Well, howdy, Lum.
Abner will take care of you back there. Sorry I have to be rushing. So long.
Yeah, so long, Lum. Come on back, Squire.
Why, yes, Abner. What's the matter with Lum?
Oh, I don't know. Come on back and sit down.
He looks a little unhappy there. No serious trouble, I trust.
Oh, no, he's got some crazy idea that he wants to get some lines, and I weren't for it, so he got up and stomped out of the store.
For lines? What in the world does Lum want with lines?
I don't know. He gets ideas like that. I think Miss Frederick put this one in his head. He'll swallow anything that woman tells him.
Well, I'm a little afraid you might have a difficult time trying to cater to a whim like that, Abner. You know, there aren't many lines on the open market right at this time.
Doggies, I'd sure like to get some for him, though, just to see him happy. You know, he might be right. It might help Lum win, Miss Frederick. I'd give anything I've got to see him get married and settle down. Maybe then he'd quit getting such crazy ideas.
Well, now, if you're really interested, Abner, it might be that I could help you there.
Huh? I doggies, can you show us, Squire?
Well, I believe I can, Abner. I have quite a few connections along those lines. I might be able to do it.
I doggies, Squire, you're a real friend. Well, wait a minute, no, now don't tell Lum. I want this to be a big surprise for him.
Oh, don't worry about that. Squire Skimp never betrayed a confidence, and he's always willing and ready to help a friend in need. Yes, sir, I'll tell you what I'll do, Abner. I'll do my best to get you a nice pair of lines.
Well, good for you.
For, say about $100.
$100? Doggy, that's pretty high, ain't it, Squire?
Well, you see, Abner, lines, you know, they're kind of out of season now.
Well, I didn't know that. All right, $100 then. Doggies, hit the deal, Squire.
Well, the new library is certainly causing more than its share of mix-ups, isn't it? But here's something that you'll want to get absolutely straight. Do you know about the quick, pleasant relief that Alka-Seltzer offers for the muscular aches and pains and fatigue that frequently follow a hard day's work? You ever tried it? Well, you should, for Alka-Seltzer offers a remarkable kind of twofold relief for these common after-a-busy-day ailments. You see, Alka-Seltzer's pain-relieving analgesic offers the relief you want for those tired, aching muscles, while its alkalizing properties help reduce the fatigue acids caused by overexertion. So it's no wonder these analgesic alkalizing tablets are being used by countless thousands of men and women who have to work hard for a living. Now, you're missing out on a mighty good thing if you don't take Alka-Seltzer for muscular pains and fatigue. Try it, won't you? Just relax for a few moments, and while you're resting, drink a glass of sparkling Alka-Seltzer. You'll feel better fast. Get Alka-Seltzer at any drugstore.
You gotta wonder what kind of lions are they talking about. I don't think they're talking the same thing here. Lum and Abner, 83 years ago, November 13th, 1941, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for joining us today. We'll have more drama tomorrow with episodes of Dr. Christian, Gunsmoke, Dark Fantasy, The Green Hornet, and Superman. See you tomorrow for more Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox.